What's going on, everybody? Mm-mm. How y'all doing? Y'all caught me eating. I just got through doing the Umar live, so I took one bite in between. But hope everybody's doing well. Y'all, let me set up here right quick. While we allow more people to come in, happy Saturday. Hope you guys are having a good weekend so far. I do apologize for being like a minute late. um, and when I say I just finished up the live stream on Umar Johnson, I literally just finished up. So shout out to those who were waiting for a couple minutes. I appreciate all of you all. Make sure you guys come in and hit that like button. Oh Lord, Candace Owens, y'all. I don't even know what else to say about this damn girl. If you have not seen my video that premiered earlier today regarding the HIPAA CMIA laws and privacy and how she could still be sued, please check that out because that is serious. And she's stepping out of line. Candace, I know you watch our videos. You're still a thunkhead and you need to tend to your 4 children. Because if Erica Kirk sues you for releasing her husband's medical information, despite the fact that he is deceased, without her consent and authorization when you illegally acquired that information, she's going to sue the crap out of you. And she will win. She has a very good case. There is precedence as well as case law in other cases in the state of New York and in the state of Texas to support her having a very, very strong tort case against you. And I go over that in the video. So when I say I'm not playing, I have my foot on your neck. I don't care how many candy asses cult followers you have out here. Right is right and wrong is wrong. Candace Owens was wrong for posting up that medical file. It was not necessary. It was nothing anyone needed to know. And it did not solve any problem any faster. It did not get anyone any closer to the truth of anything she's trying to prove, saying that someone else was involved. And even if people want to believe that, that's fine. But conspiracy theories don't work in the court of law, Candace. Evidence do. And you're going to learn the hard way with the Macron case. Oh, you're going to keep finding out because you keep effing around, Candace. You're going to find out, girl. You will find out, heifer. Stop effing around. They're not in the mood. Nobody's going to play with you. So, make sure you guys check out that video. And make sure you guys, read over the information and research. I challenge people to do that. I, unlike Candace, want people to be educated, want people to read, and want people to be knowledgeable of their rights. And when you're engaging in, her live stream chat like I do, you can properly challenge her. She's not always right about everything. Neither am I. But at least I can say that. But I do know what I've read and researched. It's called facts and evidence. I mean, and Candace could still do the same thing if she wanted to. I think one of the things that many people liked about her in the beginning was that she was willing to actually pull up information and research. Now she doesn't even do that. She just throws out conspiracy theories. It's like, girl, the hell you talking about? Half the time we don't even know what the hell she's talking about. She who does not understand UTC or the definition of the word nationalism. You can't make this stuff up. So let's get some comments in. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Shout out to my mods, the supporters, all the viewers, the members. Thank you all so, so much. We definitely exceeded the live goal in the last live. But, it'd be nice to meet it again. It goes towards the expenses of the channel. You all know that. And then also, of course, Dr. Squatch Products. We have a partnership with them. I do receive a commission on the sales. So Christmas is coming up next month, literally. Please make sure you check out the description of the video for the Dr. Squash products that will be tagged. And I get the commission through the sale of those products that are tagged in the description of the video. It goes towards the channel. It's another way to support the channel as well. You guys see, we're getting some upgrades, and I'm going to be ordering the desks soon because we're almost there. And then I'm going to post up the receipt so you guys can see your contribution dollars at work. I believe in that. All right. Thank you so much for tuning in. Meraki, how you doing? Love the title of this upcoming live. Yeah, y'all. Planes. I was gonna say planes, trains, and automobiles, but then I was like, would people even catch that? Because the candy asses, everything goes over their head. It's like it would have been a good joke though. Planes, trains, and automobiles, Egyptian style. God. Utah has a massive. What's going on, Eminem? Utah has a massive Air Force base. So aircraft coming and going happens every day. Candace is now creating a national security concern. Yes, she is. And she doesn't understand black boxes in a plane or what they do or how they work. Does her husband not tell her anything? I don't get it. Even my ex was in the Navy, but he at least told me, like, well, that's not how planes work. They got black boxes in planes and stuff like that. So there's no way you wouldn't know what time things are happening. And then for whatever I don't know, I research it. There's this content creator named Captain Steve. He's an actual pilot. He's been a pilot for over 20 years that I have learned so much from when it comes to planes, how they're built and operate, the black boxes, what they do. When there's a crash that occurs, like the 2 plane crashes that occurred early up this year, he covered those and he went through things I'd never know. I don't know a whole lot about planes. So I learned every single time I saw his videos, I was learning something new. You would think she has a team of people that help her put this information together for her videos, right? None of them are researching anything. So none of them know how to read in Google. Candace, your whole team should be researching stuff, not getting tips from your tip hotline that you're not vetting. It should be a matter of just researching some of this information. What do black boxes do? What's in the black box? What is a cockpit voice recorder? What's a flight data recorder? An FDR. She should know this stuff. If she wants to talk about Egyptian planes, she acts like planes aren't supposed to be in the sky. I don't. What the hell? The part that I saw, I was sitting here like, that's how I watch Candace Owens videos now. Hey, you can't be for real. Sometimes I stop, laugh, then it goes back to this. What? I'm serious. That's my facial expression for like 30 minutes on lock. God. Willow, how you doing? Like dinosaurs, obviously the Jews created UTC. Lori says Charlie was 100 pro Israel, claiming Israel has a right to exist in peace, which she has always desired. Why would Egypt, who is Islamic, want to take out someone who she claims woke up? She is dangerous. I hope Candace is still not able to sleep. Yeah, because you let her tell it, and Charlie is like haunting her visions now. I mean, he's deceased, so we've already gone over whether or not it's biblical for you to be, dreaming of a dead person. It's called an unfamiliar spirit. I don't think Charlie is showing up in no vision. I just think Candace is making it up at this point because she's not producing evidence on simple things like how do, airplanes work? The black boxes. Why is it that you're confused about UTC? You confused about that, girl? Your whole team didn't research this? It's insane. It's madness. Hey, Francisca, thank you for hanging out with me. Coming over from the Umar Johnson live stream. That was a good live. Yeah, good live. Very informative. And I thank you guys for supporting me over there as well. And you coming over here, hanging out with me here, girl. Better have a good time. Oh, Lord. Mr. said on the side here, praise DJT, his latest tweet about saving Nigerian Christians. Okay, good. I just want people to not be subjected to being slaughtered. I don't agree with it no matter where it is. Um, we don't have the right to just take innocent lives like that. It's just, Judgment Day is gonna be a rude awakening for a lot of people. But you don't sit here and just go out and target people because they're Jewish and then subject them to death threats. She has not denounced, Nicholas Ray and the other man that was charged with sending death threats to, the Jewish conservatives. Candace has not denounced that act at all. This is, and should we expect her to do that? She won't even, not, she won't even obtain consent before she just posts up medical files on Charlie Kirk. Candace, you're not the wife. You're not Erica Kirk. You're overstepping your boundary. You're not solving anything. It's like she's just doing all of this to get them to respond, and then she just kind of feeds off of that. Turning Point USA needs to stop responding to Candace Owens. And if you respond to her, it needs to be through a lawsuit. That's it. You don't have to say anything else. You see how she keeps throwing out the Macrons? When the last time they put up a post or a video responding to Candace Owens? When the last time y'all seen the Macrons actually respond directly to Candace Owens or anything that she said? They're in litigation. They don't have a reason to respond to her. They taking her ass to court. So when have you seen a video or post from the Macrons responding to something Candace Owens has said recently to them? Or even the last month? They don't respond with her. They filed the lawsuit. We'll see you in court. And we're going to be bringing scientific evidence. Bonjour. Then, oui. They don't respond to her. For what? They're not going to do it either. They're going to keep living their life. And they're going to keep letting her have a tantrum. That's it. That's all they're going to do. So, that's the same thing that needs to happen with, Erica Kirk, Turning Point USA, all of the conservatives she keeps going after. They need to they need to follow suit. That's why I say shout out to the Macrons for showing us how it's done. They're not responding to her. They let her, she keep on. They just gathering evidence. That's why they filed an amended complaint, because she kept saying additional defamatory, derogatory things. And the more she makes videos, the more evidence she's handing over to them. And they're simply going to use it against her in a court of law. And it's the same thing. Josh Hammer, Laura Loomer, Benny Johnson, all these other people. You guys are going to have to grow a spine and get a handle on this. She's one person. But if you all come together and file a lawsuit together, her nor her supporters will be able to do anything about it. And the evidence will be overwhelming. No one owes her the benefit of the doubt in anything. If she's saying she wants war, she's not going to stop. Responding to her is just giving her more fuel. You're giving her another day to talk about something, because she's going to go back and play your video or read your post so you responded to her. Stop responding to her. File a lawsuit against her behind and sleep peacefully. You're leading to death threats with this nonsense, Candace, and you refuse to understand the hard way, the easy way, rather. So the hard way it is. You don't care about the lives you're putting in danger. She doesn't care. So, okay. Why should they when they sue you? Good luck to that. That's how it is. And Erica Kirk should definitely sue her for utilizing her husband's medical file to still prove nothing. Candace Owens ain't saying nothing of value to nobody. Nothing. So we're getting ready to dive into her live stream she did on Egyptian military planes and things that she still doesn't understand here. That you just can't make this up. Why, Lord? Oh, this is funny. Now let's get some more comments in. Conspiracy theories galore. I know, right? 2025. Hey guys, how you doing, Mr. 2025? Everybody say hello to everybody. So everybody say hello to everybody. It's a bit like ambulance chasing, in this case, corpse chasing. Exactly. Candace Owens is throwing spaghetti at the wall. She has nothing else to talk about, apparently, because, the Epstein files somehow is no longer important to her. And she's now just kind of throwing things out there because she knows that if she says, like, if I say something really dumb, they're going to respond and say something back, and then I can feed on that. No, stop feeding her. Stop feeding her. You're just being a leech, Candace. What's going on, MB? You should feed Candace a tip. Y'all, when I try to go live, when she's live, I'm actually in her chat. And she hates my guts. And then they always want to time me out, talking about, oh, you can't wait. You got to wait 18 seconds. You're on slow mode. They always put me on slow mode. Candace, you just such a punk. You ain't got no spine, girl. All the stuff you dish out, but you can't handle it. That's why you did a copyright strike against Milk Bar TV, because you can't handle nothing. If you don't care, then why would you issue the copyright strike? Y'all see how contradictory that is? Oh, good Lord. She relies on Village Crazy Lady. Yeah. Yep. I looked at Village Crazy Woman, and oh my God, she's like the white Candace. Really? Is that the, what's her name? Somebody asked her if she did a background check. Is that the same person? Is she on YouTube, MBS, or another platform? I couldn't see her. I looked her up via Google surrounding her account. Okay, cool. Good idea. All right, y'all having a whole conversation right there. Let's go. And what's going on, Stolen? How you doing? Babs, I wonder if she still has a team or if she talks in the air. Hey, Brian, could you check this for me? That's good. Hey, Brian, you see this me? Yeah, I can do that. Like she's talking to herself. Yeah, the way she rambles on, I think she does that alone. Like I literally think she talks to herself and repeats what she's going to say on her show. Yeah, because if I talk about this and I wonder if the planes and it's it. I know I didn't know UTC, but it's not that big of a deal. Like she has conversations to herself. Please rest assured that she literally has conversations to herself the same way she speaks on her YouTube channel. That's just the state of mind thing. Because I just understand it is, the Zionists are sitting here, they doing all this stuff. And how dare they come into my book club? She's saying this to herself when she's alone. Candace Owens talks to herself. Have whole conversations with herself in her mind. Because you can't make that up. I don't see that going any other way. Because no one in their right frame of mind would approve of half the things that she say. She's the only one that's running this dialogue in her mind and approving of the crap that she comes up with. If she were to tell her husband this beforehand, he would be like, don't say 98% of any of that, dear. Let's not say any of that, okay? It's none of that. It's obsession. Oh, thank you, mister. I owe you the other $6,990. Yeah, because of 7,000. Benjamin Netanyahu, you owe me some money, bro. There's this group of people here on Earth in the U.S. called candy asses. They keep saying that I'm being paid. So if you want to send me a check, just add another zero, make it 70,000 times 77, and then send that whole amount. You can send it to my Zelle. And Netanyahu owes me some money. All right. The candy asses actually want me to be wealthy. Fine. Oh, whatever. And so you're talking about you're being paid 7,000. That would not be a bad thing. You understand that? That's not an insult. You're not insulting me at all. Give me $7,000. 70 times 7,700. Then add another zero at the end. It's not. You're not saying anything bad. It's not like they're saying Israel's going to charge you $7,000. That would be horrible. Now Israel wants to send me some money. Oh, okay. Well, let's make sure they got my Cash App. You kidding me? And I'm gonna still say what I want to say. Only God and me run this channel. But yeah, if they want to send me $144,000, I'll take it. Just make sure you send it to the right Zelle so it doesn't go to the wrong person. Child boo. I pay some bills off. I'm going on vacation next week if you send me $144,000. Bye. Oh man. I'll do a whole video. Benjamin Netanyahu, I just want to thank you for this $144,000. I understand that it is a very significant number. It's in the Bible. And all these great things that come out of it. Thank you. And I'm still gonna say what I want to say on my channel. You just put money in my pocket for nothing. Got it. That would not scare me. Somebody sending me $7,000 would not scare me at all. That is not a bad thing, people. Like, oh, well, you know, make sure they get Cash App, $ Lady Luck Club LLC. Netanyahu, if you want to Zelle it to me, LadyLuckClubLLC at yahoo.com. And I'll wait. At the end. Boo. She might need an exorcist. Get that lady free spot. Oh, goodness. Y'all, that poor George. George just sitting in that house like this. That's how George looking for 20 minutes. Either that or he's smoking a cigar and he's in the field somewhere. He's like, you know, what wife? Wife? Oh, that one. Oh, okay. What the hell? You gotta laugh at this stuff to keep him being mad and pounding on the desk. Self-snitching. No, man. All right, y'all, let's get to it. Y'all ready? Thank y'all for tuning in. Thank you so much for being here. Diane, I got you in. I see you. Macron's attorney will respond. Oh, yeah, they will. In court. It's going to be epic. Inflammatory allegation against the organization as its members. The attorney point, they got to come together and decide what they're going to do. But they can't keep sitting here entertaining her either. They got to stop. Stop responding to her on social media, on X, on YouTube. Just stop. Don't even say her name. Leave her wondering, who are they talking about? Are they talking about me? Yeah, we just let you figure that out, girl. Like, don't entertain her no more. Just document every time she does it, record it, and then put that in your lawsuit. Did you understand anyone? She don't understand nothing. What's going on here, X-Files? Y'all know Candace Owens is like that whole live stream I did earlier regarding the HIPAA and journalists and how it affects journalism and the members of the press. She's not going to care. She's probably going to release more medical information if she could, no matter how she obtained it. You know, like it was obtained illegally. Somebody sent this to you without consent, and then you still disclosed and disseminated that information without consent. Candace does not care. She's just doing what she wants to do. The only way she can be stopped is if a judge tells her, sit down or I'm going to hold you in direct contempt of my court and have you taken into custody. And you will sit in jail for 3 days to think about your actions. That's a starting point. She has to hear that. I'm telling you, it has to come down to that. Like jail time. Because she's like off the chain. And she gets coddled and pampered and babied. Even people who could tell her the truth, like this Officer Tatum and Megyn Kelly, they're scared to say something because of views and all this other stuff. So what? But then if you get named as a co-conspirator or something, or you're named and summoned to court as a witness, then what? All this because you refuse to tell Candace Owens the truth. Child, please. Ain't nobody scared of her. Sue her and be done with it. That's it. The same thing, Erica Kirk ain't stun her. They ain't stun her. All right, y'all. So we're going to get started. Let's go. 24 minutes in. Thank you all so much for tuning in. This is going to be fun. I'm just going to try to keep this lighthearted and laugh at the stupidity that is Candace Owens because, you know, I can guarantee you all, she's not going to say anything of value here. But it's good to just kind of, you know, just have a good laughing session. Candace, you know, you've lost your mind. We all know that. But let's get started on this. When you guys can see it here, put a 1 in the chat and make sure you hit the like button. Please don't make me have to say that again.
All right, you guys, happy Thursday and some breaking news for you because I knew it. I knew it. I didn't know it, but I knew it. And now, ladies and gentlemen, I know it. there were some Egyptian military men that were on the ground on September 10th in Utah on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination. And we now need to demand that they publicly release details of who those individuals were and why they were there. This is huge.
Nope.
Okay. In other news, Zionists are going crazy like they are every day. They really do not want us investigating Charlie Kirk's murder for some unknown reason. They want us to stop noticing that there are so many issues in the story that they're trying to sell us. And now they're up in arms demanding that Tucker Carlson gets canceled from all future Turning Point USA conferences. And you're never going to guess how they're trying to spin this. Well, you probably will guess. It's anti-Semitism. Welcome back to Candace. All right, so while I was away in Wyoming, I received a rather shocking tip. There were, as I am sure you are aware, some inexplicable flights that were happening that day. And actually, they're not even inexplicable. They could very easily be explained. It's just that the feds are kind of declining to do so. And we don't really have much information about those flights. In particular, there was one flight that had I would say, described as an interesting morning. It was contracted by our military. For whatever reason, this plane departed from the Biggs Army Airfield at 6:13 a.m. That's down in El Paso, Texas, right? And despite the fact that they were heading to Montana, they decided to make an unusual dip at 9:16 a.m. Again, this is in Utah time, okay? We're doing all this in Mountain Time. They dipped down.
There it is in Utah. Oh Lord. Oh man. Why this is gonna be priceless. Candace, girl. No one can take you seriously when you don't understand how time zones work. Or why planes utilize UTC and not Utah time. There it is, y'all. There it is. Y'all see that? That's why I got the captions on. Because she keeps self-snitching. Utah time, okay? We're doing this in Mountain time. No, we're not. Because planes do not do it in Mountain time. They do it in UTC time. You think she would have just Googled that, though, right? Candace, you could have just looked that up. How do planes maintain time, date stamps and stuff? Do they operate in UTC time? What time do they operate in? It would have said UTC.
Down to just 300 feet above ground over the Provo Airport runway, and they made a loop. I'm going to show you a screenshot here this is from Flight Radar, so you can see that loop. And again, this is a military plane, a military contracted plane, and we know it's military because it's leaving from a military base, okay? Really interesting thing happening there. Mark, if you want to jump on right now just to describe this for all the women that are listening to this podcast, what we're seeing here with that chart on the bottom.
Happy to provide some mansplaining. So at the bottom, you can see the altitude and the airspeed of the plane. You see it take off, goes to level flight, and then you see it dip down in the middle there, and that's what we're looking at. The time on there says 3:16 p.m., but that's UTC. That's just the general time for airplanes.
UTC.
So you go back minus 6 hours to give you Utah time. So that gives us 9:16 a.m. And then it goes back up and then continues to Montana.
Okay, so it continued on to Kalispell, Montana.
Oh, you're not going to correct what you just said about Utah time. And Mark didn't tell her what UTC was, right? He said that's what you said about Utah time. What? Mark, you should have just said, Candace, just as an FYI, it is all done when it comes to flight logs. They're tracking the time in UTC. It's coordinated universal time. Listen, I can't make this up. I can't make this up. I literally looked it up. Coordinated universal time is UTC. Candace, you don't have to do any hardcore research. You can just do a quick Google search. It's just a Google search. It's a Google search, Candace. It's a Google search. Google search, Candace. Something you should be doing before you go on, live. After you're done talking to yourself for an hour about what you're going to say in advance. Because we all know that you're not just winging it here. You've practiced this stuff over and over again in your head. and you want to practice it to where it's so sensationalized and it's so ridiculous that the only thing that people can do is respond in awe at the stupidity that comes out of your mouth. Why Google if you can just be stupid, I guess? I don't know, whatever.
And then it lands for just under an hour before it again departs back for Texas. Once again, on its return trip, it dips again to just over 300 feet over the Provo Airport runway. Now, we're going to show you that again. That this is from Flight Radar. That dip, I should tell you, because there has been a lot of speculation about it online. That took place approximately 26 minutes after Charlie was assassinated. So that dip took place 26 minutes after. And then the plane went back home, or back to the home base in El Paso. Now, it's possible, just to be fair here, that the plane was running a military training exercise that morning. Maybe they were training a new pilot.
I would believe that more than anything you're trying to insinuate. What do you mean it's possible? It could be a drop-off. It could be a delivery. Why is that the most realistic and logical, conclusion that you could draw out of this? Is something you're just saying is possible over them having something to do with the death of one civilian. What is wrong with you? Was that dip a landing? Did she say it was a landing here? It was just a dip.
26 minutes after Charlie was assassinated. So that dip took place 26 minutes
a dip.
After. And then the plane went back home, or back to the home base in El Paso. Now, it's possible, just to be fair here, that the plane was running a military training exercise that morning. Maybe they were training a new pilot on how to make a fake landing or something. I really don't know. But this flight path did indeed happen. We can confirm that. And it has been accurately reported that the plane is owned by a certain LaSai, LaSai LLC, regarding which there haven't been any more details provided, because this has not exactly been the most transparent administration.
No. You're doxing another company that doesn't owe you anything. So what? What does that have to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination? This dip. That could have been a training module. How does that directly correlate? Do y'all understand when I say give me facts and evidence? I mean, what would be viable in a court of law? What would hold up in a court of law that a judge would not outright allow to be objected to or deemed inadmissible because of lack of relevancy? Do you understand it? Lack of relevancy. There's no relevancy in this. You're not making any concrete connection to Charlie Kirk's assassination. So if this nonsense would have come up in court, and let's say the defense try to present something like this, this is Egyptian plane that did a dip. Now, objection, Your Honor, objection. This is irrelevant. This has nothing to do with the assassination or the defendant and what he did. He was not on the plane. All of that will be objected to, Candace, as irrelevant. So, why bring this up? Why dox this company? You're giving out information no one needed to know. I don't care what that company is. It has nothing to do with the investigation of this assassination. You're not linking it to it at all. You're just saying a plane was in the air, it did a dip while he was speaking, this, that, and the third, blah, 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 and then they went back home. Great. Okay. Many planes have done the same thing simultaneously. Candace Owens, you will be surprised how many planes was in the air, landed, and took off again while Charlie Kirk, unfortunately, was being assassinated. Are you going to go after all of those other flights while you sit here and not understand what UTC is? You can't make this stuff up. Well, I'll tell you.
The second mysterious flight, which was well reported on at the time, I would say this was the most reported upon flight, again, by the public, and which eventually created so much pressure that it warranted a response from one of the owners of the plane, who was Derek Maxfield. He's married to Shalane Maxfield. The two of them, they're a billionaire couple from Utah. They run a human sex trafficking charity. There's a lot of human sex trafficking charities in Utah. And I should let you guys know that they are not the only owners of that plane, by the way. Someone who didn't hit internet radar, who also co-owns that plane with them, is a person named Casey Baugh, Baugh. Now, I'm mentioning Casey Baugh because I found it when I was researching interesting that Casey Baugh has his name on an institute at UVU, the Baugh Entrepreneurship Institute, which operates out of the Woodbury Business Building. Okay, I was like, whoa. When we didn't know any details, I was thinking like, hey, did this person let somebody onto the rooftop? But of course, now we know that Tyler Robinson was not on the Woodbury building or on campus at all for that matter. So Casey Baugh is not a suspect for having provided him access in any way. But I will say that the Baugh-Maxfield plane, I'm going to take you through what that was doing. It caught a ton of attention because the plane departed from Provo, Utah at 1:20 p.m. local time. In theory, then, of course, yes, a person could have shot Charlie Kirk, went straight to the airport, and then took off on a private plane. And why this got even more attention was because they seemingly turned their transponder off. That alarmed the public. Why is this plane terminating their transponder? Why don't we know? Why can't we see more data happening on this plane, right? Being collected from this plane. So obviously, this couple, Derek and Shalane Maxfield, were feeling the heat, and they issued a statement the following day, sometime in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock on September 11th. And they said that contrary to a lot of the online conspiracies that were taking shape, the plane was actually empty when it departed Provo en route to Arizona, where he and some of his friends were picked up and they returned home to Provo. Okay. Some people thought, did they pick up like Turning Point USA people and return back? We don't know at all, actually, who was on that flight manifest. In theory, it's not really our business. But of course, given this high profile assassination, it feels like everything should be our business. Anyways, here's what he said specifically. I'm going to read his statement in its entirety for good measure. He wrote, Shalane and I joined our...
Nope. No, ma'am. You just spelled out someone's name. You're doxing people. Nope. It is not your business. Let me go back.
Why can't we see more data happening on this plane, right? Being collected from this plane. So obviously but I will say that the Baugh-Maxfield plane, I'm going to take you through what that was doing. It caught a ton of attention because the plane departed from Provo, Utah at 1:20 p.m. local time. In theory, then, of course, yes, a person could have shot Charlie Kirk, went straight to the airport, and then took off on a private plane. And why this got even more attention was because they seemingly turned their transponder off. That alarmed.
Okay, so Candace Owens still doesn't know how planes work. Candace, you could look up why a transponder would be shut off. Like so. What happens when you turn off a transponder in the plane? Turning off a transponder in an aircraft could have several implications. Visibility to ATC. If the transponder is off, ATC may have difficulty tracking the aircraft, especially in controlled airspace. Safety concerns. There have been instances where pilots have turned off transponders to avoid radar clutter or to prevent fire spreading to the cockpit. Radar clutter. Perhaps that's a reason. Because you can theorize, but I can theorize based on facts and evidence. Operational procedures. In some cases, ATC may request pilots to turn off transponders to avoid clutter on radar screens or to ensure aircraft visibility. It could be an operational procedure, Candace Owens, because here are facts. This is what research looks like, Candace Owens, because you don't do that. I pride myself in being an independent journalist, maintaining some level of integrity, which means I have to present facts and evidence to help you all understand if I formulate a theory or an opinion, it's based off of the facts presented. Because in this reality on Earth here, Candace, facts are still facts. None of these facts care about how you feel. I want you to understand that, Candace. These facts do not care about how you feel. It could have been an operational procedure. I don't have to be a pilot to Google. You're talking about ensuring aircraft visibility, avoiding clutter on the radar screens. That screen that the ATCs are looking at when they're seeing all these dots and lines. Sometimes they want to declutter that. So they have certain aircrafts turn off the transponder. You never know. That could be a reason. It's a valid fact that this can happen. These are facts. Emergency situations. In emergencies, pilots may turn off transponders to protect the aircraft or to avoid triggering distress signals. Some of those signals are audible in the cockpit voice recorder. One of the components to the black box, Candace. Because we all know you don't know that. You have a flight data recorder and you have the CVR, the cockpit voice recorder. And certain actions that's done in the plane makes a sound. It gives a little loud noise or chirping or whatever. And that can be picked up in the CVR. These are things that you can pull from the black box. It is important for pilots to understand the operational context and the potential consequences of turning off a transponder to ensure safe and efficient flight operations. What do you think they owe you? If they cut it off, it could have been an operational procedure. Now what? What does this have to do with Charlie Kirk's death again? I'll allow you to proceed.
The public, why is this plane terminating their transponder? Why don't we know? Why can't we see more data happening on this plane, right? Being collected from this plane. So obviously, this couple, Derek and Shalane Maxfield, were feeling the heat, and they issued a statement the following day, sometime in the afternoon, about 3 o'clock on September 11th. And they said that contrary to a lot of the online conspiracies that were taking shape, the plane was actually empty when it departed Provo en route to Arizona, where he and some of his friends were picked up and they returned home to Provo. Okay. Some people thought, did they pick up like Turning Point USA people and return back? We don't know at all, actually, who was on that flight manifest. In theory, it's not really our business, but of course, given this high-profile assassination, it feels like everything should be our business. Anyways, here's what he's...
No, it shouldn't. No, it shouldn't, because you're not Erica Kirk. You're not the CEO of Turning Point. You're not a licensed investigator. You're not an employee of the CIA or the FBI or any component of the Department of Justice. You're just one with a YouTube channel with 5 million candy asses listening to every word you say. That's it. That's all you are, Candace. You're a blogger. I will not dignify anything you're doing as investigative journalism. You're pointing up information, but you're not looking at why or defining terms or understanding the concept. Why would a transponder be turned off? You could have Googled that. You could Google what UTC is. You could research why you should not be posting up medical files. You can claim to be a journalist all day, but you never had consent. And you obtained it illegally. So now you can still be set up to be liable for a lawsuit. And it's not that anyone set you up for it. You set yourself up for it. Because you believe that you're above the rule of law. Like most narcissists, there's no control or stopping point to what you're doing. So what people should be doing is not responding to you. And they should just take everything you say and do and use it against you in the court of law. And yes, I'm saying for these people to sue Candace Owens because you have a case on your hands. Erica Kirk definitely has a good case regarding her husband's medical information. The hospital could be liable, and that medical staff should have been terminated and fired. You guys also can file a complaint with HHS, Office of Civil Rights. That's the HHS, Health and Human Services, OCR, Office of Civil Rights. Anyone can file a complaint to them about Candace Owens posting up medical information, individually identifiable medical information without consent from Erica Kirk. Whether the patient is alive or deceased is irrelevant. So y'all can file complaints there. Anyone can do it.
Said specifically, I'm going to read his statement in its entirety for good measure. He wrote, Shalane and I join our community, our state, and our nation in mourning the death of Charlie Kirk, and we pray for his family and loved ones during this difficult and tragic time. His death and the way that it occurred was both horrifying and senseless. We pray that the extensive efforts by law enforcement to locate Mr. Kirk's killer will be swift and successful. Spoiler alert, no, it has not been. As often happens, unfortunately, in the wake of such terrifying and public events, a variety of baseless theories and suspicions around Mr. Kirk's murder immediately took hold on social media, including one that has unfairly impacted our family. To set the record straight, we provide the following facts. Yesterday at 1:20 p.m. Mountain Time,
it unfairly impacted their family. Candace, you are destroying people's lives with this nonsense. This is what I mean. They should not have had to do this. But if they felt they needed to respond, it should have been in a cease and desist letter. Like, okay, we're going to respond to her legally. We're not going to do this on social media. We're going to send her a cease and desist, and we're not explaining ourselves ever again. Your cult base is sitting here cyber harassing, cyber stalking. You're doxing people. You're subjecting them to all of this pain and anguish for nothing. Because anyone that loved Charlie, was a friend, family, anything, you're going to destroy them because they won't say what you want them to say, like you're a little dictator unto yourself, Candace Owens. You're despicable. You have not offered any facts or evidence that would be admissible in a court of law to help connect anyone else to this assassination at all. You're doxing companies and individuals for no reason. You're ruining people's lives. You're like a plague that refuses to read and Google or understand the concept of UTC. They should not have had to do this. Next time, don't address her on social media. Put it in a cease and desist letter from your attorney. Leave my name out your mouth, girl. That's it.
Private aircraft owned by one of our companies with the tail number N888KG departed the Provo Airport for Page, Arizona, pursuant to a pre-scheduled flight plan. Occupants at takeoff included 2 pilots and no passengers.
Crazy.
That tail number arrived at Page, Arizona Airport at approximately 1:55 p.m. Mountain Time, at 12:55 p.m. local time. Upon arrival, Derek Maxfield, boarded that plane along with 7 additional passengers for the return trip to Provo. We departed that PGA Airport in Arizona at approximately 1:40 and arrived at PVU at approximately 3:15 p.m. Mountain Time. Radar services with air traffic control were terminated in mutual agreement between Denver FAA Center and N888KG, approximately 10 miles from landing at PGA, which is consistent with generally accepted standard practice when flying in.
Because it is. We just looked it up. Operational procedures. In some cases, ATC may request pilots to turn off transponders to avoid clutter on radar screens or to ensure aircraft visibility. It's part of operational procedures. What the heck are you trying to prove, Candace? You didn't even look up basic information. As opposed to you putting people out there to make them feel like they got to respond to you, why don't you just Google some of this stuff? She is no investigative journalist. She's a blogger that is sitting here ruining lives because she feels guilty for not being there for Charlie Kirk before he died. I said it. She was not there in his life. She probably didn't even call or text him. And she feels guilty. And now she wants to make it seem like she's the savior of this investigation that she's not licensed or certified or educated or equipped to do. Wouldn't this be someone purporting to be some sort of investigator? Isn't that impersonation? Keep on, Candace. And I will build a case for impersonation against you. Because obviously, that's what you want. You want people to pay attention to you. It's just not going to be in the way you want it. It's not going to be in the way you like it. You can't make this up.
In and out of non-towered airports like PGA. N888KG pilots followed all FAA requirements and protocols, tower directions, and the predetermined flight plan. This round trip was made at my request and solely for my purposes. Any suggestion that the flights by N888KG yesterday are in any way connected to the tragic shooting of Mr. Kirk is inaccurate, false, and without any credible basis of any kind. To our knowledge, no one associated with yesterday's flight by N888KG has been contacted by law enforcement for any reason. And then they just say, we ask that you just focus on bringing the people, bring Charlie Kirk to justice, the murder of Charlie Kirk, finding some justice in that. Okay. So a couple of interesting things. He admits that something like the services were terminated, but in compliance with law. So they didn't break the law when they did that at all. And what I can tell you is that I had a flurry of pilots that were working on getting details on that flight, manifest, confirming its landing, etc. And things got a little bit weird.
Who are the pilots you have doing this, Candace? Name those people. Why don't you name those people? Why won't she name those people she has out here doing Google searches, going over Google searches, these pilots, her team that's helping her do this fake investigation nonsense? Why don't you name those people? Why don't you dox them? I'm not with doxing, but I'm just saying, if you're going to release information, release those pilots. Who are those pilots that are sitting here trying to track a plane outside the scope of their job? Are they using their credentials to do something illegal? They probably should not even be trying to find flight information if they are pilots and abusing their credentials to do so. Name them.
weird. They were saying that it was unusual, that stuff that was pretty standard protocol, the feds seem to be guarding. Very strange. Now, I'm not saying this to implicate Derek Maxfield or Shailene Maxfield at all. In fact, I that's why I wanted to read their statement in their entirety. But I am telling you that the feds were guarding this just like they were guarding the Dairy Queen. It was weird.
Because they don't owe you that. You saying that you God, do you not understand? They have the right to privacy. They have the right to live in peace and not have anyone accuse them or try to insinuate them or implicate them in a murder. You are not licensed or credentialed to investigate in the first place. Do you understand that? They don't owe you that information. This is not the pursuit of justice or journalism that is of the public interest. This is her feeding her narcissistic ego to get views. She won't even research up an actual responder and why it would be shut off. I did that in just a 20-second Google search, Candace.
Had been instructed to lie, actually. Situation was therefore not routine. And if you haven't caught on, I'm not really here for all of these extraordinary anomalies that just keep happening, right? Information is power. We want the information so we can dispel the rumor. I don't see any reason, by the way, Derek and Shailene, if you want to reach out to me and tell me personally who's on the manifest, and I can just say, I actually haven't offered you that until this moment. I would be glad to dispel all the rumors and innuendo. If the feds are telling the airport to lie for some reason, there was one person who said they were supposed to land at Millionaire FBO, but then suddenly they shifted to another FBO and things were weird. I would be happy to clear up everything for you.
No, you're not clearing anything up. You're feeding into these conspiracies that keep spiraling downward into more conspiracies. You're not clearing anything up. You don't have to implicate these people at all. A lot of this stuff will be cleared up if you would Google, if you would do research on a black box or UTC or transponder or why it will be shut off. That's not some sort of government conspiracy. Sometimes it is what it is. It's a part of operational procedure. It's that simple. They're being implicated. They're having their lives and their families destroyed because of you. She did the same thing with Phil Lyman. Trying to find this man's mother. Why doesn't he have a mother? I don't even know anything about the mother. This woman is over 70 years old. Leave him alone. She don't care who she attacks. Brigitte Macron is over 70 years old with grown children and grandchildren. And she doesn't care about still calling her a man. Unbelievable. With no scientific evidence or DNA. Because that's what you would need to prove that, Candace. That is why you're delaying this case. Because they're prepared to bring it. And you will be proven wrong. So bankrupt it is for you, I guess.
In a way that makes sense. And it could genuinely be because the government is so inefficient. Major point I want to make here is that the biggest anomaly that has happened is this kind of foreign angle. Like right away, they just got out in front of it and were like, there's nothing to see here. And we discovered in our story that there was actually a third plane, which I found to be quite odd. I reported on it. And the Zionists immediately seemed, to me, too panicked, right? They issued what I described as a false debunking regarding the point that I was making. What they do in circumstances like that is when you say something that's really big, they focus on something really small and inconsequential, like an error that you made. And I did make in terms of time zones. And they go, oh, well, this has been debunked, right? It's been completely debunked. You saw this in the Brigitte case. She started going after people for defamation, not people that wasn't attacking them for the substance of the claim that you were born male, because she was, but rather she goes off after them like she's going after me.
She was not born male. You have no scientific DNA to prove it. That's the point. You have no scientific evidence that you would need to prove that. And we're not even talking about beyond a reasonable doubt here. There's civil procedures or preponderance of the evidence. And you don't even have that. You would need DNA, though, not your theory. You can't make this. The gender of someone is a matter of science and human biology and physiology and anatomy. Not your theory. This is crazy, but then wants to sit here and file for a motion to dismiss. Candace, did you submit your motion to dismiss in time? It was due on October 30th. Judge Rennie is not playing with you or your 3 attorneys that seem to know nothing. They're not playing with you, the 4 of you. By court rule and by order of the judge, you were supposed to submit your motion to dismiss in your response to that amended complaint by October 30th. So by Monday, I should see something docketed in your case that I am staying right on top of, like white on rice, or brown rice or yellow rice, pick a color. I'm staying on it. That's it. I'm going to be that thorn in your side, reporting on that Macron case to the very end. Every piece of it. You're a clown.
For saying, oh, well, actually, you're saying that I stole my sister's ID, and that's a crime. So I'm going to sue you for that. And then the media runs with it and says, oh, this has been debunked. Nothing is being debunked. And when they do that, when they focus on that, you know they're hiding something, okay? When they focus on something that's totally inconsequential, a minor mistake that you make, they're hiding something.
That's not a mistake. You said she was born a man. That is the premise of the lawsuit. You have no scientific evidence or DNA to prove that. And that is what they're primarily suing you on. That's not a minute thing. That is material to the case. You know, because you don't know how the law or court works either.
So I reported that on the day of Charlie Kirk's assassination, an Egyptian Air Force plane took off from Provo, Utah airport. I reported that, even more curiously, that Egyptian military plane had previously only ever been to the United States twice in that past year. And both times it was in the weeks leading up to Charlie Kirk's assassination. Okay, here is that plane. The tail number you can see here is SUBTT. And this is a screenshot again from flight radar. Now, of course, when I pointed out that this foreign military plane arrived on September 4th, so 6 days before, into Provo, Utah, and departed 6 days later on September 10th, they ignored the huge substance of this, which is, why is this Egyptian military plane here in the middle of Utah?
They've come here before, and you never wondered that. So why are you wondering why they're here now? Because you didn't wonder it before. Now. You can't help but to just turn her into a laughing joke. Candace, planes fly here all the time from other countries. Why don't you ask that of any other flight that came in the same day in the state of Utah? That could be asked of all the planes that landed in Provo in the state of Utah that day. Are we going to do this? Are we going to go through all of the aviation that hit our airspace and landed in the state of Utah in Provo on September 10th? Are we really going down the list of planes that had a dip or turned off a transponder because you don't know how that works either? Are we doing
Instead, they said, oh, she made a time zone mistake, like as if I'm on flight radar every day, accustomed to reading the data here. Yeah, I thought that I was looking at mountain time, like a local time on flight radar. As Mark just explained, no, they do it according to universal time. Okay, big deal. Like, actually, big deal.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. No, hell, she didn't. That is a big deal. What do you mean? You're sitting here throwing off the time by hours because you don't understand that it's going to be a UTC when you could have just Googled it. Big deal. That would be material to the information you're presenting. What times are they operating in? Oh, God.
Then I saw that the one random Twitter user that caught that mistake suddenly got boosted in the algorithm, and they made it a trending story. Like, it was like, trending story, this has been debunked.
Oh, no.
I was like,
I've been
telling you guys for a while, the military runs X, like, not.
Oh, no. She's so mad because someone else is trending. Oh, no. You know, heaven forbid if I start trending over her because she violated, privacy and posted Charlie Kirk's medical file that was illegally sent to her from a medical staff who never obtained consent to post it in the first place. Oh, no. Y'all make sure that video goes viral. Spread that word on there so that Erica Kirk can know that she has a lawsuit on her hands. If she wanted to sue Candace Owens for disseminating her husband's medical information, that was personally identifiable information, individually identifiable medical information. Well, we clearly saw his name and date of birth on an EMR. She would be able to file a lawsuit for tort and win. I've already gone over one case in which they didn't even fight it. The hospital didn't even fight it with the patient. They just settled. Texas Healthcare, 2 cases. Erica Kirk, 2 cases. Your attorney could pull to support you winning a tort claim for invasion of privacy of your husband's medical information from Candace Owens. And make sure you sue Candace Owens LLC, Georgetown Inc., as well as the medical staff and the hospital. So that's 5 co-defendants. Good luck. You will win. You would definitely win.
Elon Musk, the military. These are military bots that you're seeing on X, but that was essentially the vibe. Egyptian military plane. Don't look over here. We have debunked it. It has nothing to do with Charlie Kirk conspiracy theory because she got the time zone wrong. It was actually the flight departed a couple of hours earlier than she said.
It has nothing to do with it because you have no evidence.
You know me. That just makes me more curious. Anytime you see a Snopes level debunking, as I like to term it, it means you're onto something.
No, you're not.
Anyways, I was going through the DCIA tips box, our decentralized intelligence agency tips box, and I found a very interesting email. I'm going to be very careful here to make sure I don't give this person away, but it was someone from a foreign country. They wrote us claiming to have intimate knowledge regarding the flight. And you can take what I'm about to tell you to the bank, okay? In fact, you can even take this as a direct challenge to Kash Patel to dispute what I am going to say.
Kash Patel does not need to respond to you. This is the problem. I told you all that's what she wants. She wants people to respond to her, to keep feeding her stuff. Stop. Let me do it. But Kash Patel is the FBI director. No, he doesn't have to respond to her. He owes her no response. Ignore her like the Macrons are doing. And if she steps out of line, then you can have her investigated for interference and possibly obstruction. Candace, since you want to go there, obstruction, and you interfering with an investigation. That's what you're doing. Yeah.
Thus far, have you noticed that no one has done that? Like when I say something, they go, "Oh, she must be lying. Oh, the screenshots must be fake.
No,
obviously Charlie didn't say this. Oh, the thing is lying about the Catholic thing. Oh," but nobody's doing any debunking here because I make sure always that I have solid proof of what I am saying before I say it, and I feel that I have been presented with absolute solid proof from this individual who is in proximity to one of the individuals that was aboard this flight. Okay, I can now report to you that it is a fact that on 9/4 there were. This was not some dropping by in Utah as they were trying to claim because the plane needed to be serviced. That's what they ran with. They ran with, this could have been a routine servicing. I guess there's just no place from Egypt all the way to Utah that an Egyptian military plane can let.
It depends on the manufacturer or the part that is needed to be serviced. Candace, you're still stupid. They can actually fly a plane to get service if it is something that the manufacturer of that plane can do, or if it's a specific part manufactured by a different company. You don't know what needed to be done. You haven't even, if that be the case, then say what needs to be done and say why it wasn't done. She who does not know what UTC is or the definition of nationalism. This is crazy.
I get a tire changed. This is totally routine. Nothing to see here. Well, I'm telling
9/4, he was shot on 9/10.
That plane was carrying military subcontractors. And for a fact, they were dropped off in Provo. Okay.
Sometimes that happens.
That they did not make it back to Cairo. They showed you, I showed you the plane left. They left on September 10th. It then laid over in Wilmington, Delaware, and departed back for Cairo on the 11th. I am telling you that when that plane left, okay, those people were mysteriously missing from that plane. Okay.
If they were dropped off, what if they're here to do a job? And military subcontractors, what if they're here to do a job that you're not entitled to know? Because it could be under a contract with the military, with the Department of Defense. Information you're not privy to. You're not privy to that information, Candace. You're just not. Is she joking? Is this a joke? It's got to be a joke. It's got to be a freaking joke.
What's going on here?
Don't make this up.
Why are Egyptian military subcontractors? What are Egyptian military subcontractors doing in the middle of Provo, Utah, on the day that Charlie Kirk
they may be contracted to do?
Okay. Again, I am saying as a fact, Kash Patel, please feel free to dispute this.
He doesn't have to. That could be confidential information. You're not entitled to know what a subcontractor for the government, whether it be for a military contract or just a standard government agency, You are not entitled to know that information. It could be confidential. You know, some of these people may have to have clearances to do their jobs, Candace Owens. Some of these contractors may have to obtain some high-level secret clearance in order to do their job. And they don't have to relay that information, especially if it's confidential. And let's say they have to have a level A clearance. They don't have to tell you anything. This is absurd. I've never seen someone be this dingy, trying to sit here and say, I'm doing journalism. Does she not know that? Does she not know that they may have a clearance, some sort of secret clearance where they're not entitled to relay that to the public? It could be a matter of national security. Who knows? Is she this stupid? So you want to put our national security at risk? Do you not understand that the government keeps secrets for a reason? Not because they don't want us to know. They don't want the bad guys to know. What the F is wrong with her?
Just they could do must. You've been saying everybody's conspiracy theorists. Conspiracies are dangerous. Thinking is dangerous. That aircraft was not in Utah for any routine servicing. Okay. Rather extraordinarily, this person told me it was there on some discreet mission. So discreet that this individual was scared for their life to present this information, but felt compelled to present it because they too were horrified, like the rest of the world. Again, the mistake that was made.
So this is like an Eric Snow sort of thing. You know what Eric Snow ended up doing? He ran off to Russia. I mean, you mean that everything now that goes on with our national security, people who have, high-level clearances that are not mandated to relay information about their job or what they're doing, you're saying now they have to disclose everything? Do you understand what that could do to our security when it comes to other countries? How do we maintain our sovereignty as a nation, as a country? If every little thing we do, we're just releasing it out to the public and become more and more vulnerable to our enemies. Are you out of your effing mind, girl? This is so unpatriotic, it's not even funny. And if that person was afraid, they should have went to their superior to say, this girl is making these insinuations and I don't want to end up being discovered or anything and be subjected to her cyber harassment and stalking and all of her candy ass cult members that might be coming for me. If they find out who I am, what can we do about this? There's a reason why certain things are kept locked down. There are people who are 6 feet under for what they knew. They ended up learning information they were never supposed to know, and then they end up 6 feet under because of what they knew. Sometimes it's just not even worth knowing. But I don't understand why she thinks that everything should be disclosed here. What did those people have anything to do with Charlie Kirk's death? I don't see Charlie Kirk as being that type of figure that countries will come together to try to take out and then cover it up on this grand scale. First it was Israel, and then now it's Egypt, now it's US, now it's the military. It's then something with aviation. It might be end up coming down to the FAA. I mean, who knows? How far is this going to go? Then it'll be, Japan and Germany, and then we're going back to World War II. You can't make this stuff up.
Here was executing him publicly. People felt something, right? They felt something. They understood whatever happened here was a tremendous act of evil. And so what it led to was goodness, more people standing up and doing something brave and saying, we need to root out this evil from our society. What were they doing there? When did they leave? Who are these individuals?
Secret
I don't understand.
information.
Akash Patel,
privilege.
Tell us about this flight.
No.
Tell us who was on it, okay?
Nope. They don't
I
have
wanted to be very thorough here in presenting this information, so I was like, let's actually upgrade our flight radar account so we can go back 3.
Akash Patel, do not tell her anything that would jeopardize national security, because whatever is going on, she is not privy or entitled to know. She does not work for the FBI, the CIA, or anything. She's just a blogger on YouTube running her mouth. with cult members that are sitting here thinking that they're entitled and privy to know information that could jeopardize national security. If they have a contract with the Department of Defense, I don't want to know what they were doing. Because I don't want the bad guys to know what they were doing. What if they're building a weapon that can help protect us and our borders? Girl, stop.
3 years on this plane's flight history, which is really the max setting that you can have on Flight Radar if you have a business account. And here is what we pulled together for you guys so that you don't have to pay for a business account, which is way too expensive, especially for me, who doesn't actually use Flight Radar often, but I am doing whatever I can to solve the child care. Here it is. 3 years. You can see November in 2022. We can go back as far as November and December of that year. We can see that it routinely flies through Paris. And I noticed, and you can take your time to freeze this and go through everything, because I'm not going to read it all. I noticed that the trend here is that it always flies to an Air Force base. Okay. Look at in 2025. If you look under 2025.
Because they have military subcontractors. Candace, you said it yourself.
You will see this is what it did. It went from September 4th, it went from Cairo to Paris to
military subcontractors will be flown to a military base. Are we all in agreement with that? Military subcontractors always fly in to a military base. Do we all agree with that? Isn't that how they drop them off and pick them up? What military contractor or subcontractor do you know that will not be flown into a military base? What if they were flown here to do some work? Are you kidding? Manny, wouldn't a military subcontractor be flown to a military base? If they're a military subcontractor or military contractor, wouldn't they be flown to a military base? More than likely, they would be dropped off at a military base, right? I'm going to have to look that up because she won't. You can't make this stuff up. I'm going to look it up. I'm about to go.
France to the Knott, North Dakota. On September 10th, it departed Provo. I think I'm missing one here, right? It departed. That's right. September 10th, it departed Provo, Utah at 7:14 a.m. local time. Okay. And I am telling you that aboard that plane, it was not the same people that got onto that plane. Okay. That is what I am told by this individual. She is saying that what actually took place was that they had some Egyptian military subcontractors person that she knows intimately. I would not have taken this to the bank.
Yes, that's what happens, Candace. You're an idiot. Military contractors are flown to military bases. Military contractors are typically flown to military bases to provide specialized services or goods that are essential to the smooth functioning of the base. These contractors are engaged by the government to perform a wide range of tasks, including construction, maintenance, logistics support, and training services. They play a critical role in the military base ecosystem, ensuring the base's infrastructure and operational efficiency. Candace, military contractors are flown to military bases. You can literally read information. You got DoD construction contracts. You have many contracts within the military, within the Department of Defense. Do you submit if they're flying subcontractors there to get repairs done on a plane? How do you know that they're not going to be aiding in the repairing of that plane? I don't understand why this stuff is like so hard for her to Google. The use of military contractors. Let's just pull up an article because you can't make this stuff up. Here's one. Use of military contractors in the culture of war fighting. Look at this. Yep, they go to military air bases. Contractors, subcontractors, they are flown to military air bases if they're military. Hear what I say. U.S. military contractors and subcontractors are flown to military bases. That's how that works, Candace Owens, because you could have Googled this for yourself. That's what good journalists do. That's why I tell you I'm the queen of this. It's simple research here. I didn't even have to like think hard about it. It's just a Google search. This is just a Google search. Hey, if you all want, you can look at the SCOTUS blog. There you go. Now I'm just gonna drop the link. And you guys can see this information for yourselves, especially the candy asses that love coming up in here. And you know, they love coming up here and saying what we can't do. Here's some information. His is okay. Eminem said, no airplane from another country cannot land in any U.S. military base if we are in war and they are our allies, possibly with an extreme exception. This is the Egyptian airplane. Are we at war with Egypt? They had military contractors on it. They landed at a military air base, at a military base. They had subcontractors there. Military contractors. She said they're military contractors, military subs. I Googled it up, but I'm hearing what she's saying. Why would they not land at a military base? We're not at war with Egypt. We allowed them in our airspace. So once that plane hit our airspace that we control in the U.S., we allowed them in. Yeah, we allowed them in. Okay, cool. I just want to make sure because I want to make sure I'm understanding what I'm researching here. U.S. I agree about military. Okay, awesome. Because I'm just trying to understand why is she making this an issue here? They came into our airspace. We allowed them in. If Egypt tries to fly a plane into our airspace and they don't want to get permission, we take them out. That's how that works. We take them out. You're not going to have an Egyptian plane in our U.S. airspace. We don't know why they're here. We don't know where they're going. We don't know where they're landing. We don't know what they're carrying. We're not going to tolerate that. We're taking them out. Military contractors and subcontractors are on this plane. They got permission to come into our U.S. airspace. And they landed on our U.S. soil at a military base. They would have had to get permission to do that every step of the way. They can't even, thank you, Diane, they can't even come over our waters. They have to have permission to come here. Once they enter our airspace that we control, then we're automatically notified. As a matter of fact, if they're military contractors and stuff, we're going to know ahead of time before they even hit our airspace. No plane shall fly in our U.S. air that we control. That our U.S. airspace. And we don't know they're up there. And we don't know what they're carrying. Someone knows. If we're saying, hey, we need this plane, Egyptian A152. I'm just throwing out a code, a number. I'm just random stuff. Egyptian A123. Egyptian A123, please identify yourself. Egyptian A123, please identify yourself. Breaker, Egyptian A123, identifying pilot, blah, 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 co-pilot, blah, 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 6 souls on board, cargo carrying, information is related, blah, blah, blah. Oh, okay. You may proceed. If not, Egyptian A123, please identify yourself. One warning, Egyptian A123, identify yourself. Yeah, we got Egyptian A123 that's not identifying themselves, and they about to hit our airspace in approximately 4 minutes and 16 seconds. Permission to fly out some Air Force. Yeah, go ahead. Air Force is gonna take them out. They're gonna go up there. They're gonna send some jet fighters up there. Quick, fast, in a hurry. They're on standby. Jet fighters going up there, and they finna get up there in 1.2 seconds. They're getting up there fast. And then they're gonna come in front of them. The plane coming in, 2 air fighters, jet fighters surrounding them. Can you either gonna identify yourself or we shooting your ass out the sky? How this gonna go? How you want this to go, bro? We tried to identify you, Egyptian A123. Please identify yourself before we send a warning shot. We will send a warning shot. Y'all don't think that they would be ready to shoot that plane out of the air? You won't have to worry about reading anything about a Charlie Kirk assassination, if you get an Egyptian airplane trying to come into our U.S. airspace and they don't want to identify themselves, they're not telling us what they're carrying on their plane, they ain't saying nothing, take them out. You have permission to take them out. Take them out. Yeah. Fire 1. Ready on 1, 2, 3. They're coming out the sky. You gotta be kidding me. They're coming down. You can land this thing on your own or we're taking you out. We're doing this. That's how that works. I can't lie. I can't make this up. That's exactly how that goes. How you get up in our airspace if you want to and think you just gonna fly around and carry people around and not say something. One warning and then we're taking you out. That's it. We ain't got time for this. After 9/11, thank you, Manny. Especially after 9/11, you got to come down. We shooting your behind out the sky. Oh man, there is no way we're gonna allow this plane to keep traveling in our airspace. Hell no. Candace never learned this. This is, man, you can't make this stuff up. I'm sorry, Eminem. Hold on. Sorry you misunderstood what I was saying. We are not in war with Egypt, but the only way they could land on a U.S. military base if we are partners against another country. Yeah, and then they're carrying our military subcontractors, or they're carrying military subcontractors we've approved to come here and do something here. They can also land there. Military base for military contractors. Who knows what they were here to do? Maybe they helped to repair some stuff on the plane and as well as the base. Who knows? Provo Airport is not a military base. Our military base is Clearfield. So if they landed in Provo Airport, who said it? Okay, so maybe they went to a military base then. Right? She's saying that they landed in a military base. Does she not know that? Hold on. Let me go back. Because maybe I heard something wrong. Because I thought she said something about a military base. Hold on. Wait a minute. Let me go back.
So we can go back 3 years on this plane's flight history, which is really the max setting that you can have on Flight Radar if you have a business account. And here is what we pulled together for you guys so that you don't have to pay for a business account, which is way too expensive, especially for me who doesn't actually use Flight Radar often, but I am doing whatever I can to solve the murder of Charlie Kirk. Here it is. 3 years. You can see November in 2022. We can go back as far as November and December of that year. We can see that it routinely flies through Paris. And I noticed, and you can take your time to freeze this and go through everything, because I'm not going to read it all. I noticed that the trend here is that it always flies to an Air Force base. Okay. Look at 2025.
It always flies to an Air Force base. That's what she said. Y'all see that here? Does she not know that Provo is not an Air Force base? Does she not know that? I mean, what? This is why I'm. Now, do y'all see why I'm saying that this information she's given us is irrelevant? What does that have to do with Charlie Kirk? Does she not know Provo is not a military Air Force base? Because she said it always flies to an Air Force base.
Year 2025, you will see this is what it did. It went from September 4th, it went from Cairo to Paris to France to Minot, North Dakota. On September 10th, it departed Provo. I think I'm missing one here, right? It departed. That's right. September 10th, it departed Provo, Utah at 7:14 a.m. local time. Okay. And I am telling you that aboard that plane, it was not the same people that got onto that plane. Okay. That is what I am told by this individual. She is saying that what actually took place was that they had some Egyptian military subcontractors person.
Egyptian military subcontractors person. Candace. Girl. You got my whole chat in confusion. Does she not know that Provo is not a military Air Force base?
She knows intimately. I would not have taken this to the bank. I had to really walk her through having the courage to do this any further. And
you took a tip that someone said that they were paid to tell you about a video footage of the suspect walking with a woman. and that you would release that video. Where's the video, Candace? You said you had that video footage of Tyler James Robinson walking down the street with a woman and that he had changed clothes. Where's that video footage? Candace, you took a tip from someone that told you that they were paid to tell you a tip. And you didn't think one time, for 1 second, maybe this person's just telling me some BS because they were simply paid to tell me this. How do I know that this is valid or true? You mean you had to walk her through a tip? Then how do you know you weren't being influenced? You or she's not influencing you. Maybe you're the dummy. Maybe she called and said this to you, Candace, to throw you off. Because you're not that smart. You're very gullible and impressionable. Perhaps they called you to throw you off because they know how you are. You don't vet your tips. Maybe she pretended to be scared, Candace. Did you think about that? That could have been a setup call. Did you think about that, Candace? Because you're not privy to any of this. This is ridiculous.
I am certain that this happened. And I am certain, I feel, and feel like the rest of us feel, that we are not getting a full picture. Now, I will again stress that this individual never, ever said that the mission, the secret mission, was related to Charlie Kirk.
Know that Provo is
in
not
fact,
a
they were explicit that they...
I don't think... Is Candace saying that Provo is a military base? Because that's what she said about it. She said, you notice they always fly to an Air Force base. Does she not know that Provo is not an Air Force base? Does she not know that?
Weren't entirely sure what the specific mission was, but that it was top secret. Maybe playing devil's advocate, right? And to be clear, when you play devil's advocate, you're advocating for the devil. That's what I'm actually kind of doing here. But maybe it was a joint military exercise of some description that was so discreet. So discreet.
They are discreet. They are literally discreet. You can't be this stupid. Lord. Okay, so we're just gonna laugh at the rest of this. There is no way you're this dumb, Candace. You're not privy to that information. It is a matter of confidentiality. You're talking about a matter concerning our military or a military base or military subcontractors or something even along the lines of Department of Defense. It is discreet. They don't have to tell you that. It's just not something they make known to the public, every little thing that's going on with the Department of Defense or our U.S. military. It is. Does she not know that Provo is not an Air Force base? I'm still asking that because it sounds like she's saying Provo is an Air Force base in the information she went over. She didn't say Provo is not an Air Force base. Can we go back? Yeah, I just want to make sure here.
In 2022, we can go back as far as November and December of that year. We can see that it routinely flies through Paris. And I noticed, and you can take your time to freeze this and go through everything, because I'm not going to read it all. I noticed that the trend here is that it always flies to an Air Force base. Okay. Look in 2025. If you look under 2025, you will see this is what it did. It went from September 4th, it went from Cairo to Paris to France to Minot, North Dakota. On September 10th, it departed Provo. I think I'm missing one here, right? It departed. That's right. September 10th, it departed Provo, Utah at 7:14 a.m. local time. Okay. And I am telling you that aboard that plane, it was not the same people that got onto that plane. Okay. That is what I am told by this individual.
She thinks Provo is an Air Force base. She never corrected that. Do y'all see why I was sitting here in confusion? Because she's confused. Bye, S-Files. I got to hop over to another live to mod. I'll catch you guys later. Okay, S-Files, thank you so much. She thinks that Provo is an Air Force base. She never corrected that. I'm that's what I'm understanding here. Correct me if I'm wrong. Candace is wrong. Provo is not Air Force. Thank you. Okay, so that's what I'm saying. Eminem, she thinks that Provo is an Air Force base. So no one corrected her on that? You can't make this up. She literally thinks that Provo is an Air Force base. She never corrected it. She never corrected that.
Well, she's saying that what actually took place was that they had some Egyptian military subcontractors person that she knows intimately. I would not have taken it to the bank. I had to really walk her through having the courage to do this any further. And I am certain that this happened. And I am certain, I feel, and the rest of us feel, that we are not getting a full picture. Now, I will again stress that this individual never, ever said that the mission, the secret mission, was related to Charlie Kirk. In fact, they were explicit that they weren't entirely sure what the specific mission was, but that it was top secret. Yes. Maybe
they don't have a clearance. Maybe they didn't have a clearance to know that. And you don't either. Candace, you're acting like the devil's girlfriend right now. It's so astounding to me. You never corrected yourself in saying that Provo is not an Air Force base, and no one corrected you in that. And yet you've got pilots. You said looking at flight data for this one plane, but they couldn't tell you Provo is not an Air Force base. Oh my God. We can't make this up. Eminem, I literally, see, this is what happens when the spirit of confusion kicks in. Candace, you and the devil are both a liar. And you are playing the devil. Advocate, devil, whatever, same thing. So no one told her that Provo is not an Air Force base. And that this person she talked to basically told her nothing because they're not privy to certain information. And what they do know is discreet. And they shouldn't be sharing it either way. And if it were to be discovered that this person actually shared confidential information with her, they could be court-martialed. They could be charged. Just like Candace can be sued for releasing Charlie Kirk's medical file without permission or consent from Erica Kirk. This is crazy. She doesn't know that Provo is not an Air Force base. Got it.
Kids, right? And to be clear, when you play devil's advocate, you're advocating for the devil. So that's what I'm actually kind of doing here. But maybe it was a joint military exercise of some description that was so discreet that it required just like, everybody to ignore it, for the military to boost a random account, to pretend that it was nothing, to lie and pretend that this person.
I'm sorry, Eminem. Okay, now we have an understanding. Candace is the one confused about it. I'm fine with accepting that it's not an Air Force base. She is saying that they always fly to an Air Force base. She didn't make any differentiation. So she thinks that Provo is an Air Force base. Thank you for helping me clear that up, Eminem. Shout out to you. Thank you so much. Because I'm like, I know I'm not crazy here. She's saying that it's an Air Force base. What is she thinking? She doesn't know what it is not. God. I cannot be in a state of confusion with Candace. It seems like that's the way she's giving off this information, to be confusing. She never ever clarifies that she understands that Provo is not an Air Force base. So it leads you to believe that she is under this impression that Provo is an Air Force base because she's sitting here trying to insinuate the U.S. military either way. But it's not an Air Force base. Thank you, Eminem. Shout out to you for clearing that up. Thank you so much. Now we can really go ham in on Candace because she's still being an idiot.
That this plane was here because it needed to be serviced in some capacity. That's not true. But maybe it was because, God. Joint military exercise between Egypt and America for some unknown reason, and Provo, Utah was the place they had to do this. And they decided to leave this plane, and many people are still in Utah. I don't know, but I'm demanding that we find out. Okay. And when you couple that information with what was trending yesterday, right? This is the headline that came out of the Daily Mail. Kash Patel shuts down Charlie Kirk foreign intelligence probe in an explosive feud with Trump's counter-terror chief. It really makes you wonder what Kash Patel is hiding. There's absolutely no reason for Kash Patel to say, only I'm the person that's supposed to be looking into this. It makes no sense. If he is interested in solving Charlie Kirk's murder, then Kash Patel would be working with everyone. Everyone.
No, because that's not how investigations work. Some agencies are not warranted or needed because you're the one insinuating the U.S. military is involved. But there's no concrete evidence that's linking this to the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Once again, would it be admissible in court? Or would it be objected to as irrelevant? Just because you're insinuating it, Candace Owens, does not mean that there is some viable link that would be material to an investigation on Charlie Kirk's assassination to involve anything dealing with the military. You're the only one saying that the military could be involved. You're the only one doing that, and someone is taking what you're saying and trying to investigate it. The counterintelligence chief is not smart enough to be able to just vet some of this information himself and research a little bit and realize that he doesn't always relate information to the American public, because there are things that are a matter of confidentiality, that are top secret information that we don't need to know. Does the counterintelligence chief not know that? What out of that, from the counterintelligence chief doing a probe, would link this to Charlie Kirk? All of this for one civilian? It's implausible to think the entire U.S. military is going to be involved in the death of one civilian. And something with Egypt, something planes, and the fact that she does not know that Provo is not an Air Force base. No.
Across all departments would be locking arms and saying, Charlie Kirk was a wonderful friend. He did everything he could to put this administration into power. In fact, Trump would be late night tweeting, being like, I don't accept this narrative. Trump would be asking questions. His sons would be asking questions. Turning Point USA executives would be asking questions. But instead, Kash Patel is saying,
asking questions does not always mean to wasting resources, time, and energy to put into an investigation where there is no probable cause, a direct link that would be sufficient or material to an investigation to involve all these agencies. You're the only one saying something that the U.S. military something might have something to do with it, something. No one else is doing that but Candace Owens herself single-handedly. Why is the counterintelligence chief not smart enough to know the difference between viable information that should warrant a probe versus a conspiracy theorist that's spewing out nonsense when she doesn't understand the definition of nationalism, the abbreviation of UTC, or the fact that Provo is not an Air Force base? Shout out to Eminem.
Don't ask questions. Everything that you're hearing is a conspiracy. The homie has really turned into Dr. Fauci. Okay? This is like Dr. Kash Patel Fauci here, who's telling us to look any further would be somehow wrong to the legacy of Charles. It would be harmful for us to ask questions. It would be harmful for us to think. That's what I'm saying. Stop thinking. So that's the phase that we are at, where people are trying to pretend that to protect Charlie's legacy, we have to say less. It's the exact opposite. We have to say more. And again, I am personally challenging you, Kash Patel.
Erica Kirk, please sue her. Please sue her. And when you do, ask the court for a gag order, because she's destroying many people's lives with this. She's literally trying to get information she's not privy to. And say, here's her videos where she's frantic and ranting and just a raging lunatic. People are being hurt, harmed. People are having death threats issued. People are being cyber harassed and cyber bullied and cyber stalked and doxxed. People are being subjected to her heinous behavior with death threats. People are being subjected to the worst, where they're posting up information saying that their families and their lives are being destroyed because of her. She represents nothing but destruction and demonic forces and everything else in between. She's not helping do anything. She's just throwing a bunch of shit out there and doesn't even know Provo is not an Air Force base.
Tell, and you're super transparent administration to dispute what I'm saying. Tell us in confidence that this plane came in by itself because it just needed to be serviced. You know, just nothing here between here and Egypt. Just needed to put some fuel in the tank and then go home. Answer the questions that we are asking. I am telling you, I feel it, that this flight, if we learn more about it, if we can figure out who is on this manifest, there is going to be a lot of questions that are answered in terms of what happened on September 10th. Okay. I'm not positive, but I have a pretty good gut feeling that the way that they behaved when I pointed out this flight, which is to lie and to explain nothing, means that they are scared and it has them shook. And of course, it's in the Middle East. So I'm thinking there might have been some foreign involvement in Charlie Kirk's assassination. Because we are going to take a break and then put you through a Seth Dillon level struggle session to explain to you that the best way to honor Charlie Kirk is to cancel Tucker Carlson or something. Anyways, we'll be right back. Jumping in here to tell you guys about Preborn. You know I love them. Into Provo on 9 because it's so happy. All right, jumping into this rather hilarious story, irrespective of whether or not you personally support the nation of Israel or not, I most certainly do not. You've got to admit that the public representatives of Israel, the Zionists that have platforms, are insane. I'm talking clinically insane.
They've already caught death threats because of you, and you have not denounced Nicholas Ray's actions of issuing online death threats. Why do you continue to antagonize that situation, Candace Owens? Do you know if this person were to actually act out what he had threatened to do online to them, that you would be a co-conspirator in a murder? Especially if Nicholas Ray is saying, well, I only listened to a neo-Nazi and Candace Owens, so, it was because of her and her influence that, led me to do this. Do you not understand how that could point back to you, you idiot? You know what? You got 4 children. Obviously, you don't care. So why should I?
Shipped off to rehab for a couple of weeks, Malibu, get you next to the sea or something. And they have come undone. Yeah, they've never actually really been done on the topic of Tucker Carlson or myself, but this is exceptional. The backstory here is that Tucker Carlson, in case you missed it, hosted Nick Fuentes on his show. And to be clear, I've hosted Nick Fuentes on my show. I don't like Nick Fuentes, and truly not because of anything he said in the past, but because how he treated me and my team and how he lied on me after it. So I actually am judging him based on my experience with him. Okay. I don't really believe in cancel culture, and it was why I platformed him in the first place. He said something when he was 18 and went through the gamut that I went through, that Tucker's going through right now. I'm a 36-year-old adult and I'm equipped to handle that. Not so fair for an 18-year-old kid to go through that. I've been clear about that. And that person should get a second chance to explain their story. So Tucker invited him on to have a conversation. And this has led to people insisting that Tucker Carlson gets canceled from all Turning Point future events. Now, why are they saying he should be canceled? Well, because it's so dangerous that he platformed Nick Fuentes, who has said terrible things on.
Yeah, Candace has said there's been some foreign interference between Egypt now and Israel. She's even more in belief because, it's national secrets and things that she's not privy to know. It's like a red flag for her. Even though she was never privy to know those things. She's never inquired about anything related to a Department of Defense or U.S. military bases or subcontractors or anything with Egypt or a plane. She wasn't there when Charlie Kirk was shot. She probably wasn't even watching the college campus event. Candace, if you want to feel guilty about not being there for him for a year leading up to the day he was assassinated, why are you pulling that out on everyone else? Why is everyone else having to pay the price for your guilt? Do you understand that people are getting death threats? And you're still going at it, attacking them, calling them Zionists and all these other things. Do you understand how dangerous that is?
Line, and Nick Fuentes has been adversarial to Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk didn't like Nick Fuentes, so why is Tucker Carlson speaking to him? Like, that's their logic. I spoke to him. I don't like Nick Fuentes. I speak to people I don't like to the whole time, actually. It's a good thing to do. You should get out and speak to people who you disagree with, people who you dislike. It's okay to dislike people. It's not okay to demand that other people be canceled for hosting them and having a conversation with them, or maybe liking the person. Maybe people want to listen to him. Anyways, this led to Josh Hammer, who is our resident psycho, who really does look like that. Like, that's not AI, okay? That's not AI. He wrote an op-ed in the Daily Mail, which they actually published, calling for Tucker Carlson to be neutralized. Yeah, this is him, the guy who mysteriously calls for public executions the night before, and then he always backtracks and goes, hey, that's not what I meant. That's not what I meant when I said that. He actually published this op-ed, says Tucker Carlson just hit a new low with this heinous betrayal of my friend Charlie Kirk, who is surely now rolling in his grave. Yes, you're right. Is this the same Josh Hammer you're thinking who lied about Charlie's views on Israel changing, even though he was on the text message chain? He lied over and over and over again, plus tried to sell his book. Is he actually writing an op-ed claiming that it is Tucker Carlson who is...
Why you act like no one else can do things that are considered journalistic? You're not a journalist at all. You won't even Google and research basic information. And you got the audacity to say that another journalist can't write an op-ed? Just because you don't like it, Candace, doesn't mean that he doesn't have free speech and free press here. What's baffling to me is that, basic things that you should know, you don't know. And then for things that you don't know, you want to insinuate and expect or demand a response to it so that you can go back and say, see, guys, I told you all they were lying. I told you all they were hiding something. Who's the lady that called you and said she was in fear of her life that was a military subcontract? Who's that person? Because you want to sit here and keep certain people secret, but then dox others. Who's that individual? Who are these people that you said are pilots on your team helping you to locate flights and airplanes and to help you understand this data? Who are those people? I mean, if you're going to sit here and put anybody out there, why don't you put out there the people that you have working on an investigation they're not licensed and trained and educated, certified to do? They're all impersonating investigators and interfering with a murder investigation that is being spearheaded by the FBI. That means they could be possibly obstructing a federal investigation. Is that what you want to do, Candace? We already see you don't care about your own children, your own husband. You don't care about your career, any of that. You've already staked your career on you saying that Brigitte Macron was born a man, and you're going to lose that one. Do you really want to go down that path where you're now interfering and obstructing within a federal investigation here, expecting the FBI director to respond to you? Girl, stop.
Is apparently heinous? Yes, he's doing that. This is a direct quote from that op-ed. He wrote, "This looks like a war on MAGA and the modern American right." If this looks like a war on MAGA and the modern American right, that's because that is exactly what it is. Carlson and his clan had declared their jihad, not on the woke forces of civilizational arson on the addle-brained left, but on the forces of civilizational sanity on the MAGA right. They hope to burn down MAGA and build a neo-pagan, anti-Western, anti-biblical movement in its stead. The fox is now comfortably ensconced in the henhouse, and unless the fox is neutralized, the victim could be the entire extant GOP coalition itself. He actually wrote that. He published that. And it's just incredible because you will notice this thing that all of the people who are now saying that they represent the MAGA movement weren't in it. They are literally people that were the Never Trump movement in 2015. None of them. They're like, we've infiltrated MAGA, and now we're going to tell you how to turn it into the losing movement that we all represented. Here's how you do it. Censorship, right? We infiltrated MAGA. We hated Trump forever. In fact, these people were all pro-DeSantis, even when Trump was up against Ron DeSantis. Okay.
But yeah, you just said Josh Hammer has, how dare he write an op-ed like he doesn't have freedom of speech and free press.
Okay. They were against Trump. They've held the line in hating Trump forever. And now that Trump is inevitable, meaning he's in office and there's nothing they can do about it and he's not going to be reelected, they're pretending that they support Trump and that they're super MAGA by demanding that MAGA cancels Tucker Carlson, who is adored and loved by the MAGA base, of course. Now, if you think it can't get...
Candace, look what you're doing. You're ruining a whole university. Eminem said, I went to the university where Charles was assassinated and security has tripled because people are trying to find this underground tunnel Candace claims the sniper was hiding in. There is no tunnel. Okay. And that's the problem here. Now you have a campus full of kids trying to just go to college, go to class in peace. And because she said there's underground tunnels, now you have all this extra security because people are, as opposed to reading a book and doing their homework, are trying to find this tunnel. You know, because communistic bees and turtles and lizards and, you know, tigers and bears and flies. Oh my. Like this is where we are now. Thank you for sharing that, Eminem. It's just she doesn't care about the lives she's destroying. Above all, she doesn't care about Erica Kirk or Erica Kirk's two children. She blamed Trump. She blamed the administration. She's blaming the military. She's blaming Egypt. She's blaming Israel, the Zionists, the PM. She's blaming bees as a tunnel, some other companies. You know, I mean, just 7 weeks of blaming any and everybody, naming everyone. And for what?
Any more ridiculous. You got to check out this very real tweet from the Stop Anti-Semitism Hysterical account. That account awarded me last year the top anti-Semite of the year. Thank you for all of you who voted and made sure that I won that. They actually didn't give me any award, which feels pretty cheap to me. Please don't put me on your account for saying cheap. I'm sure that's not good. Anyways, Stop Anti-Semitism actually tweeted this. CNN platforming Anna Kasparian. Turning Point USA refusing to cut Tucker Carlson. This is how the Holocaust started. Jew hatred normalized. Yeah, I don't know. Is that actually how the Holocaust started? I'm asking for a friend. Maybe I need to be re-educated here. Is that what happened?
Are you asking for a friend? Is that the dead spirit of Adolf Hitler? Is your friend the dead spirit of Adolf Hitler? Because I just don't know why. Why would you ask that when you can look it up? More information you could just research, Candace. How did the war start? World War II. How did the Holocaust start? I mean, that's not something you can just Google. There's plenty of information out here to give you some sort of historical context as to what really started the Holocaust. You're asking for a friend. What friend is this? Candace. Because we all know you speak to demonic spirits and unfamiliar spirits, as the Bible calls it. If that unfamiliar spirit is the spirit of Adolf Hitler, I'm going to have some serious problems with you being on any show at this point. We all having to sit here and not have to pray before we listen to you because you keep playing the devil's advocate. You're too busy trying to be devil's advocate. You're advocating for the devil? What do you mean? Is she a Christian still? What is she at this point?
And Tucker Carlson, someone like Tucker Carlson just had a conversation with someone that he disagrees with. Anna Kasparian went on to like CNN and that was it. Then there was a Holocaust and it has to be stopped. I mean, it's not even good.
Oh, yeah,
the
go
level
ahead,
of emotional manipulation here is even good. It's
tip.
obviously funny. You should laugh because it's hilarious. They're not good anymore. Were we convinced by this before? Probably. Maybe we all thought every time you mention the Holocaust, you go, oh, I must do my part to make sure it doesn't happen. But to hear them.
Yeah, email her that tip. Make sure you ask her. Did the lady say she was afraid of her life? You know, did she landed in a military barrack? Can she describe the color of the dirt there? Was it a different color? You know, what color was the plane? Was there a red light on the side of the plane? Just random stuff that could lead to anything. Just ask the most minute questions that you could ask. Very basic, simple stuff. Did the wing on the right wing, did it fold up and flap up and down at 90 degrees or 45 degrees? The right wing flap. Did she ever say that the flaps went up and down? Was it weird? Did it look like the air was flowing over the wing or under the wing when it was flying in the air? Did it start shaking a little bit? Did she say that? Oh my God, that's so suspicious. Just go down a list of questions. Like it is the smallest things you can think of. Ask her that.
Say this in this ridiculous and absurd manner. We have to recognize that this has always been a manipulation tactic. That's exactly what it is. They are trying to manipulate us to censor people. We're not going to do it. Anyways, Seth Dillon, another resident psycho on X, who pretended once upon a time he was like a funny guy just telling jokes, went on to Piers Morgan and decided to put Dave Smith, who I love, through a struggle session explaining why. And yes, this is the same self-hatred normalized. I don't know. Is that actually how the Holocaust started? I'm asking for a friend. Maybe I need to be re-educated here. Is that what happened? Tucker Carlson, someone like Tucker Carlson just had a conversation with someone that he disagrees with. Anna Kasparian went on to like CNN and that was it. Then there was a Holocaust and it has to be stopped. I mean, it's not even good. The level of emotional manipulation here isn't even good. It's obviously funny. You should laugh because it's hilarious. They're not good anymore. Were we convinced by this before? Probably. Maybe we all thought every time you mention the Holocaust, you go, oh, I must do my part to make sure it doesn't happen. But to hear them say this in this ridiculous and absurd manner, we have to recognize that this has always been a manipulation tactic. That's exactly what it is. They are trying to manipulate us to censor people, and we're not going to do it. Anyways, Seth Dillon, another resident psycho on X, who pretended once upon a time he was like a funny guy just telling jokes, went on to Piers Morgan and decided to put Dave Smith, who I love, through a struggle session explaining why. And yes, this is the same Seth Dillon at that notorious Hamptons summit, who I told you pressed Charlie, and a couple of weeks before he died was horrific to Charlie, made Charlie feel as if he was suddenly sitting down and being told that his viewpoints had changed and it was unacceptable. It was a total peer pressure event, or wound up being that in large part thanks to Seth Dillon, who was leading the pack on questioning Charlie on his changing views. Anyways, he has the audacity to put Dave Smith through a struggle session discussing this interview. Let's watch a clip of it.
I think that it would have been a responsible thing and a good thing for the conservative movement if someone as prominent as Tucker, with as large of audience as he has, if he was standing in the way of Nick Fuentes becoming more mainstream. I think that would be a good thing for everybody. And I'm disappointed that it didn't come. But he's free to do whatever he wants to do.
Okay,
I'm free to criticize him for not handling the interview the way that I think it should have been responsibly handled. I think it was extremely irresponsible.
Okay. Certainly you're free to criticize them. You know, I would say that for all the people, by the way, who are so upset that Candace and Nick Fuentes have become so huge, like, honestly, dude, talking to guys like you have no one but yourself to blame for that. It's all over the Israel issue, man. And the reason why they got so much support behind them is because they were against this destruction of Gaza. It was just like the most just horrible, inexcusable thing ever. But
I mean, that's a fact. It was low-hanging morality. Hey, I'm against killing children. They tried to put all of us through. How dare you, Candace, you're an anti-Semite for saying or not looking the other way because they're Palestinians. And I guess I'm supposed to think that their life is not worth as much as an Israeli life. Like one Israeli life is equivalent to 1,000 Palestinian children or something.
Oh, is it the same thing of you sitting here doxing people and having Jewish conservatives get online death threats because of the rhetoric you spewing out, Candace? So these Jewish conservatives' lives are somehow not as valuable as you and your children's lives? What about your husband, George? What about anyone else that you consider a friend, a loved one, your family? Those Jewish conservatives' lives that are being threatened by one person being influenced by you, are theirs not important either? Who are you to determine whose life is more valuable than the other? But you won't denounce Nicholas Ray sending death threats to these Jewish conservatives either. So while no one wants to see children and women and anyone harmed in any country for stupid reasons, for any reason whatsoever, there's no reason to ever harm a baby. You are sitting here saying it's okay for someone to send death threats to Jewish conservatives because you refuse to denounce it. So who are you to sit here and to say whose life has more value than the other? You're being a hypocrite. You're an absolute hypocrite. You really are a devil's advocate. The hypocrisy that you stir up is unimaginable. You're sitting here doxing people and subjecting people to being cyber harassed and bullied and cyber stalked. You've got a whole campus now tripled with security because people are trying to find imaginary tunnels. You're not thinking about their lives. Not at all. You don't even care about the life of Erica Kirk and the 2 children she had with Charlie Kirk. You literally act as if those kids don't exist. You see how this point can be made across the board, Candace Owens? You don't get to determine whose life is more valuable than the other. All lives are supposed to be equally valued, especially in the eyes of God. But you don't care as long as there's some Jewish conservatives being threatened online, getting death threats online. You don't care about that, though. I mean, it's obvious Candace Owens does not care about those death threats that they received. She hasn't even said anything about it. And she's the devil's advocate.
And I rejected that. And I've been pretty principled across the board on all matters. And that is why I think my audience grew. Certainly didn't grow because I was telling other people they had to shut up. I'm not a part of cancel culture.
You are telling people. You told John Jr. to be quiet.
Nick Fuentes never.
She told John Jr. to be quiet. She tells people to be quiet if she's not hearing what they basically, if they're not saying what she wants to hear. If they're not saying what she wants them to say, if you don't have anything to tell the truth about, no, that's your opinion and all this nonsense is your theory. What if what he said was his truth? I don't care for Don Jr. at all. But what if he was telling his truth and how he feels? You told him to be quiet because he wasn't saying what you wanted him to say. Girl, shut up.
One said, cancel him, take him off Twitter. Someone needs to do this. If I feel that my ideas are better than something or someone, if I feel that my ideas are valid,
to be quiet.
I'll see you in the free markets. But these people can't win in the free markets. So now they're demanding censorship. And it's going to get, by the way, a lot worse than this starting point. We'll get into that in a little bit. But first, I want to let you watch this second clip of what Seth Dillon, who clearly does not have a soul after waiting to Charlie, clearly is trying to pretend that he's Charlie's friend and now trying to use Charlie's legacy by pretending that somehow Tucker Carlson.
What did he do to Charlie? You say he doesn't have a soul, but yet you have not denounced someone who has been charged with 12 counts of online death threats against Jewish conservatives. What is actually happening here? You don't have a soul. You don't care about Erica Kirk's kids or Erica Kirk. And you said the only two people that can tell you to shut up is your husband and Erica Kirk. Boy, I wish Erica Kirk would do it in a mighty way. Girl, if you don't sue her, you don't have to respond to her. Just sue her. She released your husband's medical file. You kidding?
Is not a true friend to Charlie because Charlie didn't like Nick Fuentes and Tucker Carlson spoke to him. Watch this. Truly, this is a psychological operation. These people are nutty. Take a listen.
I want to know what Dave thinks about Tucker essentially calling Charlie Kirk a heretic by saying that anybody who's a Christian Zionist is a heretic. I mean, that was Charlie Kirk, was it not?
Okay, but I mean, I think obviously he's speaking about evangelical Christians in general and saying that this violates the Bible, like to make it about.
Yeah, that's a circle that Charlie Kirk fits inside. It applies to him.
Okay, but so he's criticizing a view that Charlie Kirk had. Yeah, I disagreed with Charlie on that too. What's your point?
He hates those people more than he said he hates those people more than anybody else and called them heretics. And yet he spoke at Charlie Kirk's memorial so glowingly. How do you reconcile those two things?
Yeah, he obviously didn't hate Charlie Kirk. There you go. Come on. This is like ridiculous. Yes, he's making a point that he thinks that actually the Christians who put Israel above their own government and believe that like only Jesus can come back if the Jews control the area, that is goofy, and I agree.
Yeah. Well, if you say you hate people that have Charlie's views, then you're saying you hate Charlie.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't.
Good. If that's the argument you want to go with, okay.
Actually, the argument I'd like to go with is that Seth Dillon is a liar, which is why 2 days before Charlie Kirk was killed, he was explicit in saying he was left with no choice but to leave the pro-Israel cause, which would mean he didn't die a Christian Zionist, right? Common sense. Charlie in his own words, and Seth Dillon, you're aware of this because you put him through 2 weeks before the struggle session in the Hamptons. What was it, August 5th and 6th, pressing him on the things that he said about Bibi Netanyahu. He was hosting people to have that discussion. But, I guess for some Zionists, you would say it was almost fortunate that Charlie Kirk is no longer here to take that last step that you knew he was taking. You didn't want another Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens, people who were very much in the pro-Israel camp, and left it because we could not stand your immorality, we could not stand your lies, and we could not possibly think that God's chosen people would allow it. Okay, God's chosen people don't lie. God's chosen people don't kill hundreds of thousands of people and then try to tell you that they're the victim because they're spending tons of money on Christian Zionists. And yes, it is absolutely a heresy to get up on stage and to lie about what is in the Bible, to try to use it to manipulate people, to tell them that what's right here in the Bible is that they shouldn't follow Tucker Carlson or Candace Owens. And yes, I would deem you to be, therefore, a heretic. So I hope I'm clear about what I think you are, right? People of your...
Oh, okay. So you think that it's biblical to have a dead person visit you in a vision? When the Bible is clear on that, Candace. Oh, it's very clear on that. It calls it an unfamiliar spirit. So are you not going to say anything about that? Are we going to pick up the scriptures of the Bible and interpret what we want that fits our dumb moot point here? Is that what we're doing, Candace Owens? How many lies have you actually told on your platform to which you have zero evidence to prove? You still have zero evidence, scientific evidence, to prove that Brigitte Macron was born a man. And you said, I would stake my entire career on that. And you're still saying that. I don't even know. She just says she's the devil's advocate. Along with the fact that she keeps having visions with a man that is deceased, that the Bible specifically refers to as an unfamiliar spirit. So I don't get what is her point she's trying to make here. That's why I said, is she Christian or not? What is she? She says she's Catholic, but I don't even want to believe that. I don't think this woman is reading a Bible at this point. She doesn't even quote scriptures correctly or in its fullest extent. I'll just look up the scripture before I misquote it. You can't make this up. And she wants to talk about heresy. She talks about rabbis drinking the blood of Christians. These are the type of posts that she likes. Why would you like a post where any human is drinking the blood of another human? I don't care what they are. That's demonic. What in the world is going on with her? We don't even know if she's a Christian at this. Like, it's so when you're listening to her and you're questioning whether or not she's even a Christian, there's something wrong with her presentation here. If you can't even walk away and say she's actually a Christian here, especially when there's an opportunity to cite the word of God and she doesn't do that correctly.
Ilk are people that pretend to be Christians and make a ton of videos. Some of them simply because they're paid to do so. Some of them because they're in the military and these are their instructions, and manipulate people who are well-meaning and want to become close to God by telling them that they won't be saved unless they support this abomination in the Middle East.
She works in the universe?
Anyways, this leads us, of course, Charlie's last words in that text chain. He fought tooth and nail to make sure that Tucker Carlson stayed on the Turning Point USA speaking list. That's the reality, okay? That's the reality. Those were virtually his last public words that we can read from his private text exchanges, was that he wanted Tucker Carlson. And now you're trying to convince us that the best way to honor him would be not to listen to what Charlie Kirk himself said. This leads us to another episode of our new smash hit HBO series, micro series, which I executively produce. Take a listen.
And he basically said, I don't appreciate
to make sure that Tucker Carlson and make a ton of videos, some of them simply because they're paid to do so, some of them because they're in the military and these are their instructions, and manipulate people who are well-meaning and want to become close to God by telling them that they won't be saved unless they support this abomination in the Middle East. So.
Goodness. Oh, man. Boy, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this stuff up. What? I don't even know what to say. She just said, is she referring to Israel here as an abomination in the Middle East? Y'all see why I have the captions on? Who, child? Oh, why did it make my skin crawl a little bit? Yeah, I don't know. Wow. Is she referring to Israel as an abomination in the Middle East? I don't even know what to say. I don't know what to say. Good grief.
This leads us, of course, Charlie's last words in that text chain. He fought tooth and nail to make sure that Tucker Carlson stayed on the Turning Point USA speaking list. That's the reality, okay? That's the reality. Those were virtually his last public words that we can read from his private text exchanges, was that he wanted Tucker Carlson. And now you're trying to convince us that the best way to honor him would be not to listen to what Charlie Kirk himself said. This leads us to another episode of our new smash hit HBO series, micro series, which I executively produce. Take a listen.
And he basically said, I don't appreciate being morally blackmailed. And, you know, and every time people would say that to him, he would dig his heels in. It's like, well, maybe Tucker's going to give 2 speeches now at MFest.
She's got the screenshots from an internal chat that Charlie was doing with TPUSA. And right up there, it says, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year, because we won't cancel Tucker. And I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Whoa.
A few moments later.
It brings me no pleasure to criticize Tucker Carlson as much as I have been doing. But he has become the leading tip of the spear of what can only be described as a cancerous force threatening to engulf the entire American right.
They just can't stop, man. They just cannot curb that Zionism. They can't do it. We'll see. We'll keep notations on these individuals. Anyways, I wanted to read this email that came in because yesterday in the Q&A section, somebody had asked, what do you think Charlie meant when he said that he wanted you to be as David? And I took the obvious answer, which was to slay a Goliath, right? To slay the Goliath. And somebody wrote me this email and reminded me, of course, of the narrative beyond David slaying Goliath, David and his unique friendship with Jonathan in the Bible. And I am going to read that email to you. Somebody wrote, Candace, David and Jonathan were biblical figures from the Bible who shared a deep and profound friendship, forming a covenant of mutual support. Jonathan was the son of King Saul, and David was a shepherd who became a great warrior and future king. Their bond was strong, despite the fact that Saul became jealous of David's success, leading him to threaten David. Their bond, the friendship began after David defeated Goliath, and grew into an unlikely but profound friendship. The Bible describes Jonathan's loving David as, quote, his own soul and forming a covenant with him. Jonathan's loyalty was so great that he gave David his robe, his armor, and other symbols of rank, an act that has been interpreted as a transfer of succession. Jonathan repeatedly protected David from his father, Saul, warning him of the king's intentions to kill him. After Jonathan's death, David grieved deeply for his friend. He later honored his promise to Jonathan by taking care for his son. I love that. I actually love that interpretation that I didn't even consider in that moment when I answered that question. And
why do you not know this? This is in the Bible, Candace. There's biblical scriptures that talk about David and the son of Saul. Why is she's reading this from her screen? Y'all know this, right? All of this is pre-scripted. All this nonsense she flows out. I told you how she talks to herself before she starts the show. All of this stuff is pre-scripted, except she's the only one approving the script. No one else is saying, you know what, you probably should not call Israel an abomination in the Middle East. I mean, if you're trying to not be seen as an anti-Semite, maybe you shouldn't say that. But you're not getting any approval on the script, and George is not reading it, and you know the attorney's certainly not helping her either. All that money she pays them. You didn't read the scripture about the relationship between Jonathan and David, but you're talking about David and Goliath. Who was Goliath? Are you? She said she was the David to Charlie Kirk's Goliath. Charlie Kirk can't be Goliath because Goliath was the enemy that David killed when he threw 5 rocks in the middle of his head. Maybe she was being accurate when she said that, though. Think about this. She is literally degrading and tearing down his entire legacy, bit by bit. From Turning Point USA to his family, to any connections with other friends, whether they be Jewish or non-Jewish related, any connections to the military, she's severing this. Connections he had to UVU and any other college campus, she's tearing it down. She's tearing down any other friendships and relationships that he may have had. She's single-handedly trying to destroy Turning Point USA. She's certainly not thinking about Erica Kirk in any way, and that was his wife. She could care less about the 2 kids, and those are his kids. She even mentioned the parents, and it was just like, why are you even bringing them up? She is trying to tear down with every pebble that David threw at Goliath. She is literally trying to take him down. One would question whether or not Candace is even being a friend, or was at any point a real friend. Because the analogy no one would ever use to indicate a close friendship between David and Goliath. David conquered Goliath by killing him. And the Bible states he used 5 rocks. Each of those rocks represents something in Charlie's life. One rock represents his family. One rock represents his wife. One rock represents Turning Point. One rock represents his love for Israel. Another rock represents, any ties to the military. She's literally throwing a rock at Goliath, and every single time she throws that rock, it just knocks him back further and further until he falls. All she's doing is destructing. She's tearing and eroding anything that is connected to Charlie Kirk down, because she's not the focal point. It's disgusting. By the time she's done, there will be nothing of Charlie Kirk left that people will speak positive about. Every time you mention Charlie Kirk's name, it's like she's the keeper of his name and legacy. It's like she wants people to be afraid to talk about Charlie Kirk. If you were a friend, now you have to be afraid to speak on it, because she's going to look into you to figure out who you are. She is literally tearing down relationships this man developed and maintained and had nurtured for years. She has attacked his pastor She attacked Charlie Kirk's pastor. Do you really think that Charlie Kirk, if he were alive, would allow this girl to attack his pastor that he trusted, his spiritual leader and mentor and friend? You think he will sit here and just let her attack his pastor like that? Man. Yeah, no. I think the example she gave, considering what she's doing, yeah, that sounds about right. She's tearing down his legacy, his life, the friendships he's forged. She's knocking it down and tearing it down. And it's disgusting and deplorable. And then she says Israel's is the abomination of the Middle East. Knowing that if he heard that, if Charlie Kirk were to hear her call Israel the abomination of the Middle East, he would go flat off. Yeah, keep saying you're, if having visitations from Charlie Kirk's dead spirit in your visions. Keep on. God might let you sleep and have that vision and have you in that deep sleep for a week, torturing your behind in that, and you won't be able to wake up until God says so.
I just love it. I just wanted to say thank you to the person who wrote the email and maybe consider that it really is about honoring your friend and properly grieving for your friend and realizing that you will not be able to be perceived as someone who even cared about the individual if you don't fight for them.
You're not
if
fighting.
You don't stand up for them. If you don't look after their legacy, take care of their legacy. Don't allow these people like the Josh Hammers and the Seth Dillons to try to invade and quite literally turn Charlie Kirk into someone he is not for a single second. Do I believe that Charlie would have considered shutting down Tucker Carlson because he sat down with Nick Fuentes? It is so beyond the realm of possibility that it is.
You wouldn't know. You didn't talk to him for about a year.
Sickening to watch them do this. It really shows you, for those of you that are in my book club, what I was talking about when we read that last book about how they do this after death. They fight for the person's legacy, even though they were the very same people who were harassing them, the very same people that were making Charlie ill with the threats, with the money, who were pressing him at the Hampton, Seth Dillon, Josh Hammer on the text, hearing what he was going through, seeing what he was going through, will then say, oh, I proclaim myself in charge of that person's legacy. It's twisted. It's very, very twisted, but everybody can see it. There's no doubt that everybody can see it. All right, guys, I want to run for you one more time before I get into your comments that tomorrow we're going to be dropping this amazing episode, me having sat down with Norm Finkelstein. So take a listen.
The Economist magazine, it describes Gaza as, quote, a human rubbish heap. The leading UN official on Gaza describes it as, quote, a toxic dump. For the people of Israel, Gazans are vermin. They're garbage. They're human refuse.
You guys were the ones that insisted that we all have a perspective on October 7th. Then we looked and we pierced that veil. We went, oh my goodness, how was I ever pro-Israel? And now you want us to shut up.
There's a problem here. A billionaire class of Jewish supremacists are now flagrantly using money as a blackmail weapon to silence not just criticism of Jews, but silence criticism of an ongoing genocide.
Oh my God. That was yesterday.
I am very, very, very excited about that. You're going to love it. It's like I said, even if you support Israel, and that is perfectly your right, I think that you will become educated on a topic that has been...
Yeah, if you support Israel, she's definitely going to dox you and then have all of her 5 million candy asses come and torture the crap out of you on your social media platforms. Don't say you're friends with Charlie Kirk and y'all were best buds, because that's going to bring down the wrath. Candace, you're a joke. You need to read and research. I can't take this serious.
By and large, guarded by the mainstream media. I think Americans have been extremely ignorant because I was among them. I was extremely ignorant on this topic. I think Jewish Americans are ignorant on this topic too, because that's how this was designed. That's how this whole pro-Israel matrix was designed, to keep us dumb. Just want to shout out before we go to some more sponsors that somebody just dropped $500 to say this comment, and it's hilarious. They wrote, I can't with Josh Hammer's lip gloss. You go, queen. It is, yeah, it's not a good look. I don't think it's a good look, Josh, but I shouldn't say that.
$500 super. I'm going to say this, and I don't want, you take it how you want. If for nothing else, if the candy asses wanted to hop it in my chat and drop $500 supers, I would not stop them. We can all laugh at their comments. I mean, but if they really want to drop some $500 supers and stuff, oh, okay. What the hell? Sometimes I don't even meet my goal of the $25. She's getting $500 just for someone to point out something where, according to Candace, everything is fake and gay. I've never heard someone obsess over the concept of being fake and gay, but then turn around and say you don't like the lifestyle of gay people. What? Then why is everything fake and gay to you? It's like an obsession.
Because on top of the struggle session or within the struggle session that Seth Dillon was putting, actually, was this on a separate show? Okay, it wasn't on Piers Morgan, right, Skylar? Okay, listen to what Seth Dillon says about why Nick Fuentes is a terrible human. I don't know why, but this made me laugh out loud because it's quite childish. Take a listen.
He's got the right to talk to Nick if he wants to. I think what a lot of people are expecting, though, from a conversation like that is if you're going to bring somebody who's like the leader of the Groypers, who has so much animosity for Jews, and it's just, he says the most horrible things.
I can talk about it, but
he said, well, I don't even know if I can repeat some of the things.
I can talk about it. I'm going to say this. I can talk about it because I bring forth facts to debunk what she's saying. Like the fact that she, thought that releasing Charlie Kirk's medical file was, okay and part of journalism. It wasn't. It could literally cause her to lose millions in a tort case. And I brought forth the information on that. And her expecting responses from Kash Patel and, people from the Trump administration, all of that, yeah, they should definitely ignore her. Turning Point USA needs to stop responding to her. Erica Kirk does not need to start responding to her. She's been doing well with not having said anything on social media directly to Candace Owens. So I think Erica Kirk is doing great with not really giving her any direct feedback or response. And if she does respond, it needs to be, I'm responding to you in court. And that is it. But Turning Point needs to stop doing that. The administration needs to stop. All of the conservatives that she talks about that have received death threats that she refuses to denounce, they need to stop responding to her. Because you're right. She wants positive or negative attention. She just wants attention. She doesn't care where it comes from. She just wants the attention. And that's the issue here. And she's getting the attention from specific people she wants it from. They need to ignore. Like who? Candace who? Candio. I don't know that. Candio Lanton. Candace Owens. I don't know her either. That's simple. And sleep peacefully. Stop responding to Candace Owens, Turning Point USA. Just stop. If she does something that's defamatory, sue her. Yeah. She's already got one coming. If Erica Kirk just sues her for the medical file release, for the invasion of privacy of her husband's medical information, that in and of itself is a slam dunk. It's a slam dunk.
Things that he said, but he's called JD Vance names, calling him fat and ugly, and that he has a brown family, like just his attitude towards minorities, towards women, towards Jews, and the things that he said, the glorification of Hitler, these are all things that you would think Tucker, claiming to be a Christian and a decent person, would have a lot of interest in pressing Nick on.
Okay, I think we can all deal. JD Vance is a big boy. Okay, if he got called fat, he can address that, or actually just be an adult and not care at all. Because you're married. Oh, he got called fat and ugly and brown. Who cares? Like, welcome to the internet. These are men that are in their 40s. If you cannot deal with somebody calling you names, just so you know, the internet is optional. Watching Tucker Carlson sit down with Nick.
You couldn't handle someone posting up a video of you blaming Trump for Charlie Kirk's assassination. They're taking my book club video and they're putting it out. I don't have a reason to hide. You could have just asked me that. No, why are you doing a copyright strike then? So that means you should be removing the copyright strike if you will say that to the general public. The thing is, Candace, you didn't. That's the issue. You didn't say that to the general public. You only said that in your book club. What the hell book are you reading again? It should be the Bible, but you don't want to read that. You can't make this
Fuentes
up.
is optional. If you don't like someone, you are not required by law to watch their content. So toughen up, Buttercup. The thing that upsets me the most is that these are the kinds of people that rule over us. You know what I mean? Like these are like Josh Hammer is actually the editor at large at Newsweek. He's openly talking about his hostilities towards white men, right? Because he views Jewish people as a separate race. He believes he's a Jewish supremacist. There's no question that that's what Josh Hammer is, because the way he speaks about European white men. And yet he's just allowed to be at a higher station in life than you. Why? Because of his connections or something? Does he seem to be more intelligent than you? Absolutely not. So the whole thing is absolutely wacky that they can't deal with something as soft as, oh, he called him fat and ugly and brown. Like, okay, like every second of the day I'm being called mean names. All right, we're gonna get to a couple of sponsors and then I'll read the rest of your comments.
And you care.
All right, you guys, telling you about Paleo Valley, because something my team and I are always craving are their beef sticks.
Oh, girl,
Power Bomb. It's an ultra-rich bomb about Charlie's death and the betrayals around him, episode by episode. Are you unable to lay it out all at once for us? And what can be done about Cash's corruption? Yes, I am obviously drip feeding. It would not be smart for me to tell them everything that I...
No, she doesn't have any information to give you all at once, because she won't even research basic things such as UTC, the definition of the word nationalism, or the fact that Provo is not an Air Force base. She doesn't have the information to give you. What she's doing is throwing out subliminals, throwing out, insinuations, and then hoping someone responds to it. And then from there, then she goes and verifies whether or not she was trying to prove a point with that. There is no facts or evidence. It wouldn't hold up in court. That's what the candy asses don't get. They're not asking her, if this information was presented in court, what do you think the judge would say? How would this hold up against the law? That's what needs to be asked here. And she doesn't read questions that really challenge her or comments that really challenge her or anything. And she wants to tell somebody to toughen up. Candace, you toughen up. You're a coward. You don't even read comments or questions that could be even critical of you. You only read the ones that kiss your ass and appease you. So you toughen up and read a book.
No, because I'm trying to figure out who the rats are on the ship. And that is why I've been intentionally setting bait, giving a little bit of information and allowing them to lie. That is just the smart way to go about this, obviously, because I know that there's rats on the ship. Some I know for certain, but if I out those people, then the other ones can protect themselves and distance themselves. I don't know everybody that is on the ship. So, and who has betrayed Charlie. So this is the process that we are going through. And by the way, what I don't know, which is kind of the big point of this, I don't know actually who pulled the trigger and killed Charlie Kirk, right? And so there's kind of two running investigations: who betrayed Charlie Kirk. And I, by the way, make the argument that everyone is betraying him right now by not speaking out and telling the truth. I would say that, right? And then there's the other element of who actually killed Charlie Kirk. Carrie Jean writes, Charlie saw you as his...
Tyler James Robinson did. I mean, what are we talking about here? What?
So, and who has betrayed Charlie. So this is the process that we are going through. And by the way, about Charlie's death and the betrayals around him, episode by episode, are you unable to lay it out all at once for us? And what can be done about Cash's corruption? Yes, I am obviously drip feeding. It would not be smart for me to tell them everything that I know, because I'm trying to figure out who the rats are on the ship. And that is why I've been intentionally setting bait, giving a little bit of information and allowing them to lie. That is just the smart way to go about this, obviously, because I know that
you don't have the information, because if you did, you would just release it. You're releasing stuff drip by drip so you can keep getting views day by day, so that you cannot run out of content. Because you're not doing anything else, Candace. You're not adding anything to the general public interest. You're not adding anything fruitful to humanity or to society. You're doing this because you want content. You have a script you're reading of this wackadoodle conspiracy theory junk. That means you intentionally referred to Israel as an abomination in the Middle East. What if someone says that about, the United States being an abomination over here in North America? I don't know. How would you feel about that as an American? She's more concerned about what's going on in other countries than her own. There are so many things she could be talking about going on right here in the U.S. that she could give a rat's ass about, because she knows it doesn't get views.
There's rats on the ship. Some I know for certain, but if I out those people, then the other ones can protect themselves and distance themselves. I don't know everybody that is on the ship.
You dox everyone else.
And who has betrayed Charlie.
That's
so this is the process.
She doesn't have a problem with people being cyber harassed, bullied, or cyber stalked and dox. She doxes people. And yet now she's concerned about doxing the rats? That's a stupid logic. If anything, you set up the rats to be exposed, and then you protect everyone else. But she's doxing innocent people who have nothing to do with this. And yet she doesn't want to dox the rats? Get the hell out of here, girl. You're a hypocrite.
That we are going through. And by the way, what I don't know, which is kind of the big point of this, I don't know actually who pulled the trigger and killed Charlie Kirk, right? And so there's kind of two running investigations: who betrayed Charlie Kirk. And I, by the way, make the argument that everyone is betraying him right now by not speaking out and telling the truth. I would say that, right? And then there's the other element of is who actually killed Charlie Kirk. Carrie Jean writes, Charlie saw you as his David in 1 Samuel. Jonathan loved David like his own soul, protected him, handed him the robe and sword of kingship. He died young, never seeing the throne. But David finished the fight, wielded a sword, finished the fight. Love that. Thank you so much. In fact, I think you might have been the person that wrote me the email yesterday. I can't remember if it was Carrie. Obsessed with sports rights. Egypt's tail numbers SUBND and SUBTT. We're at Peace 2025. What is that? Mark, help me. Mansplain. After, and Hades, the tail number N1098L, is so concerning since there are now Israeli defense companies that are making air-launched drones for recon and as loitering munitions. Be well, Sister Crisis King. So that second plane is...
What does that have to do with Charlie Kirk's assassination? Nothing. How would that hold up in court? Your Honor, that's irrelevant. That's irrelevant to anything related to the murder investigation of Charlie Kirk. Irrelevant.
LaSalle LLC 1. He's talking about N1098L. He is saying it's concerning because now that plane, which flew up to Montana and turned around, he is claiming, and I have not fact checked this, is being used by Israeli defense companies.
Irrelevant. None of that has anything to do with the actual assassination of Charlie Kirk. Did she not know this stuff was going on before he was assassinated? This stuff was going on beforehand. This isn't just starting to happen. You can't make this stuff up. Now that we have to worry about everything going on with the Department of Defense being put out there because Candace Owens is trying to literally destroy Charlie Kirk's legacy and all his friendships and relationships. She's saying everybody betrayed him. That includes, I guess, his wife and parents. She's literally trying to isolate everyone from the concept that is Charlie Kirk in her mind. As if this man did not live a whole life and build relationships and friendships for himself. She is single-handedly trying to excise everybody from around Charlie Kirk and his death. It's unbelievable.
I didn't find anything on that plane being at that summit, but here's a screenshot of where that plane was at the moment Charlie was shot. I know a lot of people said the plane was flying over at that exact moment, but it was actually in Idaho.
Right. 20 minutes, about 20 minutes out, right?
Wrong. Idaho.
He didn't get over Provo until 20 minutes after he was shot, right?
Correct.
That's what I said earlier. Okay, great. Perfect. Thank you for mansplaining.
What does that have to do with that? What does that have to do with the actual assassination, though? It was in the air. Still would be irrelevant. It was in the air. Irrelevant. It was in the air.
Always
keyboard. Our Explorer Rush Josh Hammer looks like Count Dracula. I am waiting for him to start counting his lies. Okay, if you call him Count Dracula, okay, they're going to start saying that we should be banned from X. This is how they are. They need censorship. The rosary. OCIA is next. Congratulations. I think it used to be called RCIA. That is the program that you have to go through now. It's OCIA something else that she didn't like. And the media will pretend that it's been debunked. It's never debunked, guys. These are psychological operations, and the media is behind them. The media is supporting these operations, rather. I think the military is behind these operations. And I think the military, the cult of military, has wrapped its way around the world as best that I can see it through the books that I am reading. And my eyes have been open to the fact that these people and these characters are not organic. They are not smarter than you. They are not working harder than you. They are just more corrupt than you. That's what I've learned. Truly, they kind of put out these stats. Oh, this is why we're so successful. It's a higher IQ. You know, because you're like killing people. You're taking over their companies, you're hostile, you're stealing tech, you're mass murdering people and stealing their land. That's why you're ahead. You're more corrupt, you're more evil. And so, yeah, we need to be radical in our...
Never mind the fact that she is literally, exterminating any and every tie or connection to Charlie Kirk. Everyone's betraying him. He had a wife and kids.
Commitment to the truth, because you can see how much the truth impacts them. They're completely coming undone. Particularly speaking about Zionists right there. Zamet writes, Candace, a tipping point in the USA. Yeah, for sure. And by the way, regarding Turning Point, I can't think of a worse executive decision that could be made than to ban Tucker Carlson from future events. Like literally, people are going to perceive that as ignoring Charlie's dying fight, if you will. The last, like I said, thing that we can read in his text messages. So it's just completely absurd.
They're well over a year old. Those text messages being well over a year old. What if he changed his mind, Candace? You wouldn't know that. You know why? Because you didn't talk to him within the last year. You have nothing to show or prove that you had any communication with him within the year after you went on that tour. Within the last 12 months. Any relevant, updated information that was within the year.
And crazy. But look, it's going to be tough for Erica. It's got to be tough for Erica in this moment because she's going to be feeling that pressure in the same way that Charlie was getting getting that pressure from these top donors, these top Jewish donors. It's now being transferred. When they're making noise publicly like this, when you see Seth Dillon and Josh Hammer out there, you better bet there's some financial consequence that is happening behind the scenes. The if you don't do this, then that. This is what they do. Financial threats. They love it. Zionists love financial threats. They love to force you out of the market and then to pretend that their success is organic, and it never is. They're not interesting at all, actually. They, if this was a fair world, they would.
Okay, so if that be the case, then you should be bankrupt as all hell. And she's not. She's still sitting here. Candace is still got millions of followers and everything. She's got sponsors and donors. Wouldn't you be sitting here struggling right now? What if they're not doing that and you're just trying to paint the photo that they are? They're not tampering with you, and they could file a defamation lawsuit. You've caused them to get death threats. They haven't even done that. I wish they would. Stop sitting here entertaining her on social media and take it to a court of law. And then first take it to God in prayer and then go to a court of law. That's what they need to do. Sue her.
Be probably at the bottom of society if they weren't evil. Jonathan Werner writes, hey, Candace, I love you, and I am inspired by you to spread the truth no matter what the consequences. Thank you. These evil people are simply abysmal. My Assault on Truth book is coming in next week after months of waiting. Time for the world to wake up. Stay safe. That book is, you will know what the Zionist movement is once you read that book. It will, there's no way to unsee it once you see what their strategy is and why they think they had perfected these psychological operations, gaslighting us when we all see Charlie get shot, and then trying to eulogize him. That book is potent. So enjoy and learn about the author, learn about what he went through to tell the truth about the fact that Sigmund Freud was factually defending his pedophile friends. And they brought that to the shores of America. They brought modern psychology to the shores of America and into Hollywood. And the good news is
Charlie Kirk was not in Hollywood. Charlie Kirk was not in Hollywood, though. What are you talking about? What does Hollywood have to do with this? Charlie Kirk was not some Hollywood actor or anything. Neither are you, Candace. I heard she was trying to be. Wasn't Candace Owens trying to be in Hollywood at some point? Tried to become an actress? Charlie Kirk was never into Hollywood. So if anything, you would have been closer to becoming part of Hollywood, Candace, than Charlie Kirk was. I mean, why put that on to Charlie Kirk, though? That maybe is a life lesson for you to learn, but not him.
People are understanding that we are in a battle, spiritual battle between goodness and evil. And like I said, I always want to remind you that the frequency of truth carries more power than a lie. And that's why they demand we shut up. That's why they demand cancellation. They demand that Tucker is not given a platform because he's telling the truth and it's resonating with people. And he's giving people the courage, more people the courage to tell the truth, right? They don't want Dave Smith platform at Turning Point USA. Josh Hammer was angry after he got destroyed by Dave Smith on Turning Point USA stage. So he privately started this struggle session because he knew that when they were on stage, the students that were there were impacted and they wanted to follow Dave Smith. People know truth when they hear it and they know lies when they see it.
Struggle session.
And in Josh Hammer's case, the wet hair thing, I wouldn't do it, Josh, is all I'm saying. I'm not trying to be mean. I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do that look. Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for all of your support. And tomorrow is a normal.
Okay, that's enough. All right. So in essence, Candace Owens is still sitting here. It's coming up with the wildest nonsense ever. I just thought I heard it all. And then she goes and says that Israel is the abomination of the Middle East. And I'm like, if you want to talk about body count and, a country going in and just slaughtering people, how would you feel if someone described the U.S. to be the abomination of North America? Sitting in between Canada and Mexico. She's like a mean girl, like a 16-year-old mean girl. She has this airheadish talk and language about her. You know, like, you know, I mean, it's so minute, you know. What the hell are you saying? You're 36 years old. I'm going to need you to talk like a grown-ass woman that gave birth 4 times. Yeah, at motherhood, you're trying to take away from Brigitte Macron that's going to wipe your face on the floor in the court. Where is the response to their amended complaint, Candace? The hell your attorney's doing? When did you pay back the High Court of Australia government court costs and fees? Because they've ordered you to pay those fees. When is that going to be paid? When are the refunds for those tickets to that Australian tour going to be refunded back to those people who bought those tickets? I mean, we can go through a laundry list of things where she owes a lot of people a lot of money. That has nothing to do with Jews or Israel or anything. You chose to try to secure a venue in a country, in a continent where you did not have a visa. And now you're going to have to issue refunds. When are people going to get that money back? Are they going to have to issue a class action against you, or are you going to go ahead and do the right thing? She's got so many court costs and legal fees over her head. She's got the Macron lawsuit. She owes the government court costs in Australia. She's going to have to do the refunds. Then she's got to pay the attorneys for representing her with that appeal in Australia. Do you know how much it costs for international attorneys to represent you? They got to fly over to another country to represent you. Unbelievable. And now she's here destroying any and everything about Charlie Kirk. I never listened to his shows or any of that. But that doesn't mean I'm not human. This man has 2 kids that he left behind. And she hasn't thought about that. Everyone's betrayed him. He has a wife and parents. Are you saying his mother betrayed him too? His wife betrayed him? What about the children? You know, might not even be old enough to go to school yet. You can't make this up. And she really wants to say the worst decision Turning Point made was making the executive decision to put Erica Kirk as the CEO. That's what she really wants to say. That's what she really wants to say. And so with this, and I'm sorry, I'm going to answer your question because you asked me about the documenting what she says, and somebody had better tell Erica Kirk about HIPAA violations. Absolutely. Erica Kirk does have a lawsuit on her hands, and this is because of the 2 cases that kind of establishes the court's interpretation of the CMIA rules with regards to journalists basically obtaining the individually identifiable information, medical information, considering the fact that she received it illegally, and then she disseminated it to the public, a very widespread general public platform without consent, because in her world, she thinks she's Charlie Kirk's wife, and she's not. Erica Kirk could sue her for invasion of privacy. And that is what the other 2 cases, the one in Texas and the one with New York, that I brought up in the video that premiered earlier. It's one of those cases that her attorneys could use to show the court how the rules regarding journalists disseminating the individual identifiable medical information under CMIA was indeed violated. Now, will she face any criminal charges from that? No, but the medical staff who did possibly could. The medical staff should definitely be terminated, and the hospital could be found liable as well. But because the medical staff took the information and emailed it electronically to Candace Owens, and then Candace Owens disseminated it without consent, that at least would be make her liable for tort. And that invasion of privacy because of how she obtained it illegally and her then disseminating it without consent makes that violation of CMIA. So that is where Erica Kirk's attorneys could argue based on the case, the precedent set here with this Texas case and with this New York case, you know, she could be liable for damages. So it would be a civil procedure. It wouldn't be a criminal matter, but it would be a civil matter. And Erica Kirk would not have a problem meeting her burden, considering that those two cases could be used to help the court to show prior rulings and or agreements that have defined the interpretation of a CMIA violation with regards to journalists. And that's why I pulled those specific cases up, because those were the ones that are directly close to, you know, the damage that those cases had to pay out to patients for disseminating medical information without patient consent. She published this information on her channel and she posted it up on a platform where over 5 million subscribers on YouTube alone are watching. And there was no reason to disseminate that information to the general public. None. So hopefully Erica Kirk does file a lawsuit. A complaint can also be filed. Let me pull this information up too, so you all can see HHS OCR complaints. Complaints can be filed with, and here we go, filing with OCR. So a complaint can be filed with OCR, the civil rights complaint, where the employee, the medical staff who sent the information from the hospital to Candace Owens, and then Candace Owens decided to disseminate that without consent, can be reported, and then they will do an investigation. And that's what occurred in the matter with New York Presbyterian Hospital. They allowed the news media, the television crew, come in and record in the hospital for a show, and ended up having patient information being released and disseminated to broadcast to the public while they were recording that. So when they recorded the episode, it was broadcast to the public and patient information was released in that actual broadcast. And it was done without the consent of the patient. So there is a level of responsibility that we have as journalists. When we're talking about free speech and free press, it is not at the expense of someone else's rights being violated. People deserve to have their medical information protected and kept safe and confidential, whether you're dead or alive. So this is where you would go to file a complaint for the civil rights complaint. Now, let's see. Filing a patient safety confidentiality complaint with complaint on it. Patient safety confidentiality, a breach notification. Okay, so that's what dealing with data. So I think this would be the best the route to go with filing this civil rights complaint here. And then you can just file it online. Whatever information, as far as I would take a screenshot from Candace's video, like what I did. That's part of my thumbnail. And I would put that in as an exhibit, like post it up with the complaint to say, this came from a medical staff. And then I will put the link to her video in that complaint. This came from a medical staff. She admitted that it was sent to her via email. Someone at that hospital took a screenshot of the EMR. They tried to redact information with the whiteout, like literally using the paint, like a Microsoft or Word paint system to white out the other information as a redaction when that wasn't done correctly. And you could literally see the patient information, the patient's name, date of birth, and I would include a screenshot of what she posted up on her video. And just save that as a JPEG or an image and upload it to your complaint. Anyone can do this. And from that hospital, they'll pinpoint the medical staff. Because anytime you log into an EMR, It logs in your user ID, your password, with your credentials. So you cannot, as a hospital staff, certain access to the system, certain departments do and don't have. Like everybody doesn't have access to HR payroll, right? Only those who work in HR payroll. So even within the hospital, there's certain access you're not going to, obtain if you're not working in that department. So obviously this person works with patient care. For them to have access to that EMR to be able to see the patients that were checked in, that's not something that someone that works in the business office, dealing with healthcare benefits would be able to access. Why would they need to access, the list of patients that checked into the hospital if they're working with, employee benefits? So it's certain accesses that employees do and don't have to that system. If you have direct access to the EMR to see patient check-in, see patient information, it's because you work with the patients, or you're probably processing like patient accounts or something like that. And even that will be limited. She said it was medical staff. So that staff person took the screenshot without consent and sent it to her via email. They should not have done that. That was illegal. And because the medical staff is considered a covered entity, having being an employee at the hospital, that complaint can be done under the HIPAA. Let me go back and show you all. That can be filed as a HIPAA complaint because she was the medical staff that released it. As far as Candace Owens disseminating it, this can be filed under the civil rights complaint. And make note that it was sent to her illegally from a medical staff at that hospital. Whatever information you have, like the name of the hospital, the address, phone number, look up what's the name of the hospital? Anybody know? Anybody know the name of the hospital? I can Google it right quick. I know, right, Goat? She probably bribed the nurse to email it to her. Because you all know she doesn't vet her information. Because if she did, she would know not to do that. She would have definitely said, you know what? I don't know if I should be sending out a medical file of him going to that hospital. Let me get my team to research this to see if, even as a journalist, can I do this? Should this person be sending this stuff to me? Because what they're going to do is they're going to go, the IT department is going to go into the system and they're going to see who logged in and access that information based on the date and time step of when she sent that, when she received the email. So whomever sent out that email, they'll be able to track in the email. I can guarantee you that person that works there emailed it from her work email because they're not that smart. Okay, Timpanogos Regional Hospital. Is that it? I can guarantee you that person is not that smart. And they probably emailed Candace Owens from their work email, which will be easier to track to see, okay, all we got to do is go down, do the emails to see who sent out an email to a recipient with Candace Owens in it. Or Candace Owens tip line, whatever the email address is. And I'm sure it's going to have Candace Owens in it because she's full of herself. And so from there, they'll be able to see who sent it. And then they'll go to that person and say, did you send out this email? And then they'll be able to verify it by seeing it when that medical staff logged into the EMR and get the date and time stamp and the information that she accessed. They have a way of tracking to see whenever you're going through these EMRs, when you're clicking buttons and stuff like that, it leaves like a little footprint. And they can see everything you clicked and selected throughout their system. That is how intricate that stuff is. And it should be that way. So Timpanogos Regional Hospital. Let's see here. That would have came from emergency care. Because he went to the ER, right? Okay, emergency room. Let me share this. So he would have came into emergency care. I would just put down in the complaint this address, phone number, this stuff here. And then there has to be some sort of triage nurse that was on call at the time. You can also file a complaint with the hospital directly. If you wanted to, you can also do that. Let's see. Is it patient? Something patient at patient complaint. Hold on. They gotta have like a portion where you could just like contact them to say, "Hey, I need to file a complaint about service or something." One of you all's staff sent out information to a journalist that shouldn't have gotten it about nurses. I don't know if it was a nurse that did this or just someone that worked in the maybe like a triage tech. It could have been a tech. Could have been a nursing tech, a nursing assistant, or something. A CN as opposed to a registered nurse. Could have been like a certified nursing assistant or nursing tech. Who knows? But I will let them know. I will just put in this information if you're gonna file a complaint with HHS, and then let them know. Here's the clip. Someone in the emergency room had to have sent this because they showed a log of the patients that had been treated and came into the hospital through the ER that day. He didn't have like an appointment to a regular doctor's office, so it would have been the ER visit. And I will put that in there. They do it under HR and contact us. Hold on. Okay. Contact us. Ah, there we go. So HR. Oh, there you go. Contact us form. Yeah, you can do this. You can file a complaint. Do not send data considered confidential, private in nature. Okay. So you could just say that there was an employee that took a print screenshot of the EMR for all the patients that had come in on the day of September 10th, 2025. If you got a time frame, put that down so they can narrow down. And this medical staff sent this without consent to a journalist. And then you can put her name, Candace Owens. Then she disseminated it without consent. And so I will still file a complaint with HHS OCR because they're going to be the ones to lead the investigation. The hospital can do an internal investigation to locate the staff that did it. But I would also file one so that you can ensure that they investigate Candace's role in this and her disseminating that information without consent after she obtained it illegally. So, I mean, if you want to do it twofold, yeah, you can do both. So here it is. Let me do copy and paste. I'm gonna put this link in here for you all. Oh, Truth, thank you. Awesome. Truth did one earlier this week. There you go. So that's the link to the hospital. You can file a complaint. Thank you, Emily. You can file a complaint through the OCR online portal or by email using a downloadable form. Your complaint must be in writing and filed within 180 days of the violation. Yes. So please do it as soon as you can if you're going to do it, because you know she did this video last week or something. Let me go to Let me go to her channel. Was it the Truth and Science? Trust the FBI Science? Which one was that? So y'all can have the right video. Was it setting the bait? Hold on. Oh, Lord. I'm not even going to play it. I just want to scroll to it to see if my text with Charlie. No, this ain't it. Hold on. It was Tuesday, I believe. Tuesday? Let me go back. Because I'm going to drop the link to the exact video. Hold on a second. What's today? Saturday? Oh, there it is. Yep. Share this tab. Y'all see this? Here's the video right here. It was dead on it. There you go. Yeah, send the proof. I read across your channel when you were going over how her show and laughing about her show and these docs. You had me laughing out loud. Yeah, it's just like she just effed up. I was like, oh, you just messed up, girl. Y'all see this? Here it is. This is it right here. Big lawsuit coming. Yeah, I even time-stamped this.
Destroyed. Certainly was not destroyed. And if I'm lying, sue me for defamation, and you'll learn exactly how I know that. This is what makes Andrew Colbett's tweet explaining the conversation with the surgeon especially interesting. Remember, he's like, oh, the surgeon said, well, I would have taken down a moose, and but Charlie's neck, he's the man of steel. And people rightly said that's not the job of the surgeon. That's kind of the job of forensics to say that. The medical examiner.
This right here.
Now telling them that
yeah, I really time-stamped that at 28:30. Said big lawsuit coming. Y'all see the comments? Hold on. I want to get this timestamp 34:34. Y'all look at my comment. Yeah, that big lawsuit coming. That's what you get, Elf. You got a lawsuit coming. 34:34 is that timestamp of the actual medical document. CMIA violation. There you go. I can just go straight to it. But here's it. This is the link here, and this is what she showed. She showed she showed it in a snippet of the email. She showed the snippet of the actual EMR right here. Let me turn up this. That had part of the MRN here. Y'all see part of this medical record number here. You got the time, I guess, score 18. Y'all see his name here, clear as day. There's no confusion as to who we're talking about. You got his date of birth, his age, of course, male, ID type, EHEPI. Why is part of the MRN showing? You see this? None of this needed to be shown. None of it. She did not need to show any of this for any reporting, anything whatsoever. You can't make this up. None of this needs to be shown. And this is what the CMIA talks about, disseminating this information without consent. What was this for? Y'all see up here, this was a query. It says up here, find a patient. So someone typed this in. Last name was first, and then, his first name. And they did a print screenshot, and they sent it to her. And for what? This does not tell us anything about his assassination, any evidence on the bullet or none of that. It doesn't tell us anything. This was not needed to be disseminated to the public. It did nothing for the case. It does nothing for the investigation. Nothing. You're giving us more information that's needed with the MRN. Part of the MRN is here. And then, of course, last contact date, September 10, 2025. You can't make this stuff up. So someone had access to this part of the system to be able to see that they did a query search for Charlie Kirk. They left down the ID type here and everything. And what was this for? This ID type could be specific to that software program. But why do you need the MRN? You can tell they tried to redact out stuff, but I mean, you you didn't have to show any of this. So yeah, you include this to say this should not have been disseminated. What is she doing? And she still has this video up. Candace, you better not take this down, you heifer. And stop slowing down my comments when I'm in your live stream. You're doing that on purpose. Brigitte Macron is still a man. Look at that. She doesn't know how to stop. And Brigitte Macron is still a man. Yeah. Brigitte Macron, to the Macrons, I hope you all see this. Get a print screenshot of her description of this video. Oh, God. This is crazy. All this for what? There you go. See, I ain't seeing my hate violation. Candace, you had this coming. You had this coming, girl. Now Erica Kirk can use this against you. She doesn't need to respond to you. You're talking about betrayal here. When did we ever need to know his MRN? This is the craziest stuff ever. And she doesn't care. It's adding up. All of this can be used against her in a court of law. She doesn't care. She does not care. She doesn't care. The judge will help her understand, though, when she gets a judgment against her in favor of the petitioner. And it's for like $10 million, $20 million type of thing. Like, there is no way she's going to get away with sharing this information out when Erica Kirk hopefully decides to file a lawsuit. She could just file a complaint with HHS OCR, and they will do the investigation. And they will set up either, okay, we're going to trial on this, or y'all can do an agreement on it, but they'll do it for her. But I mean, Erica Kirk has, the finances she can report this as well, but she also has the finances to just get an attorney and hire a hired attorney. So with the civil rights complaint here, you may file a complaint for yourself or for someone else. So this is so crazy that she did that. Now y'all have the screenshot, you have the hospital information, you got the hospital link, enough information to be able to file a complaint and get that going, because this is insane. This is insane. I would never do that. I don't care if people send me something like that. I would not release that information. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. So that's all I have, y'all. This is crazy. This is crazy. Tomorrow we'll be back and we will go over the video she did on Friday, on yesterday. We went over the one she did on Thursday. So tomorrow we'll go over the one she did on yesterday. And she sued a building company in 2019 for mold, but the company says she hadn't paid 6 months of rent. Oh yeah, I went over that lawsuit. She decided to live with mold for 6 months and then wanted to talk about, it's causing recurrent yeast infections. Oh, Candace, I got the court documents, you heifer. I went over that court case. I was like, I guess she sit here and claim all these medical issues and stuff because she chose to live in the apartment for 6 months. Black mold and not pay rent. They issued a judgment against her for almost $19,000. Candace, did you pay that bill? You have a nag for not knowing what you're doing and you want to file lawsuits and then you lose like hell. Yeah, she put on that court document that she was having recurrent yeast infections. Because you just can't make this stuff up. I did a video on it. Check it out in my international headliner Candace Owens playlist. Yeah, she has a whole playlist. I don't understand how her stuff is viral. And it's like, I'm going over her court documents just so you all can understand how she conducts herself when it comes to court. Yeah, it was she was paying over $3,000 for rent. She said the mold was causing recurrent yeast infections. This is so crazy. Girl, bye, Felicia. She lost. She failed to show up for the hearing, actually. So it was more like a default judgment. She didn't even go to the virtual hearing. That's what happened. She did not even go to the virtual hearing. It was remote, Candace. She didn't even show up. So they won by default. That's how sloppy she is with this stuff. Just like she lost the appeal in Australia and lost the case she filed against USA Today. You know, she lost this one by default judgment against the apartment complex. She's a clown. She's a clown. So, yeah, she got it coming. Maybe that's why Charlie didn't pick her. He's like, you smell like bread, girl. I don't think I can be with someone, you know, that smells like baked bread. Candace smells like baking bread. I have no idea what it is. It's something weird. Like, there's bread baking. And she just walked out of a bakery. It's a yeast infection. Yeah, I'm done. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. Y'all are fun. I appreciate that. Y'all hit the like button and share this content. And listen, 3 hours. When you replay it, just put it on 1.5, 1.75 speed. It goes fast and it's funny. But I thank you all so much for tuning in, and we'll be back tomorrow. We got 2 lives for tomorrow. We got another Umar and another Candace. And probably going to get in Nature Boy if I can. But until the next one, you guys take care of yourselves. Thank you for the $10 super, mister. I appreciate it. And I appreciate all of you. And Lady Luck out. Deuces.